Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. WeatherBrains episode number 866. This is for August the 22nd, 2022, 82222. This is James, and we're getting set to launch a live shot. We are live on location tonight. I'll be the engineer. As you can see, we've got Bill Murray, who is attempting to join us from Pittsburgh.
What's that?
Hey, James, can you hear us? Okay.
I hear you good. Got no video, but sound good.
There we go. How's that?
Oh, yes.
We have got a setup to beat the band, James.
This is great.
Meet the young man who's totally in charge of this. Because, James, you would be proud of this.
I'm far from in charge. He's in charge. I just put things together.
I said, you are a master. He said, no, I'm just the tech. And I'm like, you should see this hookup. It's something you'd be proud of, James.
I like it. I like it a lot. So
looks like you at WTBC back in the 70s.
The big 1230, the mighty larger than life 1230. Here's Freebird. So what's going to happen here?
I'm doing all that without a microphone. That's pretty cool.
And I'm going to mute Bill for just a second so they can kind of get set up there. And again, for those of you that are watching live on the tube, and by the way, this is the pre-show, the magical time of the program where we share boring personal stories, humorous anecdotes. We say outrageous things. But for those watching live, pretty much Bill will be running the show from Pittsburgh. And for those that don't know, this is the week of the annual National Weather Association annual meeting. And we try and do the show live there every year. And of course, due to COVID, we've had some issues with that, but they're back. And unfortunately, I was not able to go this year, but we've got a good representation up there. I think that about half the cast members are there. And so when we start at the top of the hour here, and by the way, if you're looking for the actual show content, we'll start the show here in about 9 minutes. But they will take over and run with it. And they've got some pretty cool guests coming up. And I'll let Bill share more about that here in a second. So anyway, that's the situation tonight. I think Jen is like me. I think Jen was not able to attend. We've got and obviously Kim, who is with expecting her child. And I don't know if I think the due date is like this week. But Kim, I don't believe attended, but whatever. Now, most of the show is going to originate up in Pittsburgh, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And they will bring on some heavy hitters in the baseball world. So that's the situation. And again, we will start at the top of the hour here. We wanted to get Bill hooked up a little early and get the live shot. So we are established and we should be good to go. And again, we will kick it in here in about 7 minutes. We have to wait until the top of the hour. For those that don't know, the video part of WeatherBrains simulcast on local television here in this market. And so they hit at the top of the hour. So we have to kind of wait till the television hits. And then after that, we can start this thing. And again, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'll warn you, sometimes at the NWA, these things become totally unhinged. So, and if they do, it makes it even better. I mean, when the show gets off the rails, everything just gets totally unhinged. It's good. All right. So, and I think I sent the invites out a little early today, and everybody should have one of the regular cast members here. So let's unmute Bill. Oh yeah, they've got this, and again, this part is video only. And again, the way it works for those that are new here, most people listen to this. This is a core audio podcast. We started doing this show in January of 06. So we were podcasting before people even knew what that was.
Right.
But so most people listen. but we have about 1 in 4, about a quarter of the audience they watch, and most they don't watch it live; they watch it later.
Sure.
But we got a faithful group that will watch live on Monday nights. So, but again, Bill, what's going to happen here when we start? I'm just going to turn it over to you, and y'all take it and run with it. It's your show. You are in command.
That's scary, James. It's been a great
That's what
so
we
far.
wanted. We want it to be scary.
We got tons to talk about tonight, James. Maybe
Yeah, no,
all-nighter.
I'm excited. We could be here for a long time.
We have a secret guest at 8:15, so be ready.
Secret guest. If we told you the name of this person, we would have to break your legs. So you have to tune in here.
You can't leave that hanging.
Now, wait. Now, first off, let's clarify. Are you talking about 8:15 Eastern or Central?
Central, 9:15.
So not 9:15 Eastern.
We're gonna make you wait.
Can you give us a hint?
Get a hint.
Big guy.
A very
That's
large,
only like-
beastly
That's only like
man.
half of the meteorologists here.
I'll tell him you said that, James.
Well, you said big
Federal
man. I mean,
government? Is it federal government?
This line?
Federal, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they should
Okay.
all be live.
Okay. Making
This
sure.
is Matt Beitcher from St. Louis right here, James. We've got Candace Boyd, who you've met before.
Yeah.
She's right out of the picture.
Oh, yeah, I thought
But she was, of course, in charge of the Ron. And Justin Sharp.
when does the Ron start?
It's
When-
it's already
at
over.
6, it's over. So
Oh,
they've
we're
already
done?
Solved all the problems.
Yep.
And,
World peace has been achieved. We're all good now. Yeah.
We have a
Gosh.
nexus, James.
We have
Guess
a
who came up
nexus.
with that name, James? You know, because Ron Prespolinski, that was easy. You know, research, operations. But if you just take one wild guess, who came up with the nexus part?
that was Greg Stump.
No,
somebody
else.
said somebody else
It was
did.
somebody else?
John Scala.
Close.
John, okay.
Think St. Louis.
Okay.
Think the Hill.
I know the direction you're going in here.
Office.
It's
with
got to be
Kim.
Harold Brooks.
There you
There you
go.
go.
Ding,
That's
ding, ding.
Okay.
Yeah, he said that at the panel.
Okay, I learned something new today.
There
Okay.
you go.
So we got
Harold is the legend of St. Louis.
Well, there's Jen. Hi, Jen.
Yes, he is. He
Jim's
certainly
coming
is.
on board. We
Jen,
miss
Jen,
you,
Jen.
Jen. Wish you were here.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
Good, how are you?
It's Candace off screen. You're just gonna have to believe me. I'm here.
You got him
I
on-
believe
come on
you.
over
It's
if
good
you
to
want
see
to
you.
I know.
There you go.
It's summer camp
There
for
you go.
meteorologists.
That's
Jen.
right.
It really
That's
is.
right.
Yeah.
Next
One
time we got to
time-
get you guys on a 2-camera shot. Get the wide shot and then get the tight shots and everybody.
If
Oh,
we
so
push the
good.
laptop any further, it'd be off the table.
That's true. That's true.
So who all is like Rick Smith with you guys?
There's
was.
a special
He was.
event right now.
Everybody's
For the
heading
new
over to see the
director.
new director of the National Weather Service, Ken Graham.
And so they're over there, but they're going to come. He's going to come join us as soon as.
And you guys
James-
wouldn't let James Adelite come over to your set there? He's on his own set over here.
Well, he doesn't trust my anti-COVID pills. You know, this is a little close quarters here, James. You know, we all got bracelets. You know, you either were red, yellow, or green. And I loved one of our military meteorologists today said, you know, if you give us any color other than red, yellow, and green, you know, we don't know what that means. So green means you have your rabies and distemper. And so I've got that one.
It
That's the one
does?
have.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it just means that, you can come within 3 feet of me.
Well, that's what it's supposed to mean. But I haven't been checking. I've probably made a lot of people uncomfortable by invading their space. So.
And I'm wearing a mask and a red bracelet. I wonder if you can gather where
Oh
I am
my
on the
goodness.
spectrum.
Yeah, I got a red bracelet next to me right
Yeah.
here, James, and I'm wearing green. So this is already bad.
No, we're clearly going right down the tubes here.
Mhm.
So we've got to wait another. Is Neil Jacobs there?
No,
No,
I have
Neil's
not
not
seen
here.
him. So he was supposed to be here, then I'm gonna talk to him about that.
That's right. We're going to fuss at him.
Yeah.
He must be down at the 50-cent beer night at Hooters in Pittsburgh there.
God.
I will say there's a lot of places and spaces to spend your money in Pittsburgh.
All right.
That is true.
So
we went to someplace. Chris White took me to pizza today with a friend of his who's from here, James, and we had the real deal Pittsburgh pizza. It was just unbelievable. So we did that today with James Frank and with Chris, who's a friend of the podcast.
So where was that?
okay. And again, just so you guys will know, there is some fairly loud background noise. So you guys will need to speak up and try and override that.
Okay.
Well, it's 50-cent beer night here too, James. There's
you need to tell those knuckleheads to stop talking back there. Don't they know this is a live set here? I mean,
that's Janice's fault.
Janice put a cash bar in the corner of the room. And they're not leaving.
Oh boy!
For the record, I just wanted to help the local economy.
That's right.
We stress
that's it. Yeah, pour money right into the local economy.
Yes.
Let's say the bartender is really rich
for the places and spaces.
He was outside looking at a Bentley a minute ago. So I think
James A, where are you in relation to these people?
He's too scared to get close to us.
I don't know if he can hear it.
I don't think he can hear us.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
his AirPods out.
Where is he?
And here comes Dr. Jacobs, who is not in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
We thought you were coming to Pittsburgh. How you doing, Neil?
Good.
Mike Farrar sends greetings. Dr. Jacobs, we had a great talk from him yesterday.
Yeah. Mike Farrar is here. Ken Graham is here. I'm trying to think who else from the National Weather Service family.
Everybody. Some people retired on me. I didn't even know.
I think it's COVID.
Like Kim Rock, he retired.
Yeah.
Kim left.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the plan. So we're going to get going here. It's top of the hour. Welcome to our television viewers. I'm going to mute you guys while we get the thing started. And then when it's time, you take it and run with it. It's your show. And when you're through, we can, here comes Kim. We can run the recorded segments and do the picks of the week. I don't know if you might want to do your picks of the week, while you've got it, so you can just take off and go to the bar when you're through. How about that?
Got a special guest for you here, Kim.
I like the way you think.
Kim, do we have any breaking news on the baby front?
Well, nothing especially pressing breaking now. All of my children have needed to be evicted, and this one is no different. So that will be happening tomorrow morning.
Congratulations.
We don't need any breaking news.
Yep, as I see my team member Justin over there shaking his head, just like, yes, Kim is ready to have this baby gone.
You need to tell them the story about when we were on field work and I had to feed you beef jerky as a vegetarian in the car.
You need to mute. We're here and feed that. Kim, you look absolutely beautiful. Trust me, when I was 9 months pregnant, I didn't look anything like that. And I absolutely was not trying to do a podcast when I was 9 months pregnant. So she deserves an award, everybody.
Yeah, this is 8 months and 29 days. This is like,
all right. So let's get this thing
James,
started.
You'll have to slide in a minute when we get some of our Ron guests.
So I'm going to mute Bill and everybody there for a minute. And then when it's time, you'll have to unmute. So let me get the recorders going here. And we're just going to sit back and listen and learn, all of us that are not there. So here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is WeatherBrains, the weekly show all about weather, episode number 866. This is for the 22nd of August, 2022. And we've got an interesting show coming up tonight because it is NWA annual meeting week. And we've got a big group there, and we're going to join them in just a second. But we'll first off kind of go to those of us that are not at NWA in Pittsburgh, including Kim. You're a trooper. I mean, you are on the show. First off, just tell us your news that you just shared with us in the pre-show here.
Yeah. So those of us who listen to us a lot know that I am pregnant and tomorrow is the delivery day. So I am going to be with you all for a while here. Actually, all of the grandparents are in the other room managing the other children. So the great convergence has descended on the McLean house. But I thought it might be nice to sneak away for a little while and have a little bit of peace before all of the craziness breaks loose. And yeah, I'm just so glad to be with all of you. I'll miss you when I'm on my leave, but look forward to being back with you guys in a couple weeks.
Neil, she's look at this. This woman is on the show the night before giving birth. I mean, what a trooper, Neil. I mean, she's special.
Impressive.
So, Dr. Jacobs, you are not at NWA. You skipped out this year.
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot recently, and so this is spending a week at home, and then it's back on the road again.
Okay. Well, I can totally understand that. Something about traveling just wears me out. And I don't understand it because you just sit in an airplane and sit in an airport, but there's just something about it that is exhausting. So I can totally understand that. Let's see. Jen, you are not in Pittsburgh. You're close, but you just didn't go over this year.
No, and I got some heat on that from Mr. Murray about not being there. But no, I wish I could have been. I really would have liked to have been. To be part of the reunion of everybody, but I just could not pull it off this year. And it's only about 3.5 hours from me, but I did some traveling a couple of weeks ago and have more trips coming up. So I had to keep my budget in line. So I miss you guys. I wish I could have made my way out that way, but I'm excited to be here with everybody. And Kim, you look great. You just look fabulous. So I'm so glad to see you and best to everything tomorrow.
And send some pictures tomorrow, Kim. Okay.
Yeah. You guys look at the pictures. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. That'll be everybody's pick of the week this week. So in the way this is going to work, we're just going to toss to our group in Pittsburgh, and they've got some really remarkable heavy hitter big shots in the weather enterprise that will be there. And so we're going to sit back and listen and learn. And if any of the regulars want to jump in, that they do have the ability to hear us. And first off, let's go to James Adelot. James is quarantining himself from the group. So they're all in the same room, but somehow James is kind of, he's over there by himself. Did you get kicked out of the group, James? What's the story here? And I don't know if he can hear us. I know that the fancy audio setup was with Bill. So let me just toss it over to Bill Murray. And Bill, you take it, run with it, introduce the guests. We're going to sit back and listen and enjoy you guys having fun.
Sorry, we were muted.
We're too far away from the mute to turn it off, James, because we had to put it like 25 feet away. Anti-COVID pills right here, James.
There you go.
Otherwise known as Altoids. But I hear they kill COVID, so that's good. James, good to have you here tonight.
It's great to be here. These orally, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Good point. I'm glad you asked that.
Yes.
Okay, that's a documented show title right there. James, what's your biggest takeaway so far?
I love the mix of social science and physical science, and it's time to move on to solving the big problems, and that's a multidisciplinary thing.
Well, we're going to talk about solving all those big issues tonight here in just a second. I'm so glad you're here. Glad you're part of the podcast. And they have bracelets for us. James has gone away. He's just going to leave us in charge. I think this is plausible deniability if anything happens here. But our bracelets are about social distancing. And I've got everything all the way through distemper and rabies. So I get the green bracelet here tonight. And so that's what we've been doing. But tonight, how long has the RON been happening?
We've been doing it for over a decade now. The RON's it's been multiple names and sort of taken different forms over the last 15 or so years. Ron, it's named after Ron Prespolinski. He's the old science operations officer at the National Weather Service in St. Louis, where I am now. And he was a huge proponent for research operations. Really, his deal was O2R, the opposite way, kind of. And he, for those who don't know him, Ron was a giant in QLCS tornado genesis research and damaging wind research with QLCS tornadoes. And he took what he saw on radar when he worked in the National Weather Service, applied it to research, got more out of it, and put it back into operations. So he really embodied the R to O to R, or in his case, the O to R to O sort of cycle. The thing that you really want to get done, the seamless transition from one to the other, where there's no gaps, no breaks. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way all the time, especially with different entities trying to work together with different rules and different regulations. So this nexus, the RON is in memory of him. He passed away several years ago, tragically and suddenly, rather suddenly. But in his memory and in his honor, we do this every year, at least at the NWA. We also do it at the AMS annual meeting. And we had 90 participants here. That is a record, we believe, for the RON. We've been doing this. I think this is our 10th RON. Yes. So it's just been incredible to see outside of a pandemic. We weren't sure if people were going to come back. Candace did an excellent job keeping it alive during COVID, where we were doing it all virtual. We were a little hesitant to see how many people showed up, and we had a line out the door, and we didn't even tell them about the cash bar. So
and they were extremely well behaved. That's Matt Beitcher from the National Weather Service in St. Louis. I didn't get to introduce you, but Matt, you were a big part of the event tonight.
Yeah.
And having a cash bar probably didn't hurt.
It greased the wheels, especially for the last one. Yeah.
But Dr. Candace Boyd is a good friend of the podcast, and she has a great new job at EPA. Candace,
Yes.
tell us about it.
Yes, so I'm really honored and humbled that I assumed a senior executive service role in June of 2022. I am the director of the Chesapeake Bay Program Office, which is located in Annapolis, Maryland. It's a part of EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency. So a quick synopsis of this is that the Chesapeake Bay is the largest estuary in the United States. An estuary, a quick definition, is that that's where freshwater meets saltwater. And so what's so unique about this bay is that there are aquatic life that is unique only to this bay. So if you've ever come to the Chesapeake Bay, have you heard of blue crabs?
Oh my goodness, do not let them run out.
That's
That
right.
is a sustainable product that you have to protect.
Absolutely. Have you heard of oysters or different oysters specifically from the bay? They have a unique taste that just cannot be matched no matter where you go throughout the United States or across the world. So I am so humbled and honored. I'm the first meteorologist. I'm the first female. I'm the first African-American to hold this position. And so it's really important not only to show people that atmospheric science needs to go into spaces and places where we not only think about atmospheric science, but think about how that affects the entire ecosystem. We're working with land, we're working with water, we're working with air, and the intersectionalities of the three. So I'm glad to be here at NWA because I'm a lifetime member of the National Weather Association, but it's important to understand how atmospheric science affects each and every one of us on a daily basis. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you for everything you do. You've been a great friend of the podcast, and we loved having you on. You're breaking barriers right and left, Dr. Boyd, and we love that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here tonight. You did a great job, you and Matthew, everybody.
And double congratulations. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's outstanding. Justin Sharp, you joined the event tonight. Talk about your roles that you've gotten to play with it.
Here or just generally
At the event this year and
so
in the Ron Austin.
So I was a speaker yesterday, so I managed to talk about the work that Kim knows very well, which is to do with social vulnerability and the Tornado Tales app and the work we're doing in Mississippi and Alabama, which is working with NOAA's Sea Grant down there to actually bring our research from Vortex Southeast back to the communities and to try and help make our research less extractive, so we don't just parachute into communities after disasters, ask them some questions and disappear. We really start to bring that back and help them transition and learn with us. So that's the whole sort of continuum of what we're trying to do. And here tonight, this is the first time at the Ron, and I have to say, I just geeked out on the science.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was so fantastic about it was, I took flash flooding. That's not in my area, and saw tornadoes. And I did coastal storm surge as well. And I was interested about the hurricanes and storm surge. And you mentioned oysters there. That just made me think about ecosystem services and how oysters are being used in, say, New York State to actually, transition and help with storm surges. So again, it's having a holistic approach to all and everything that we do. And you might not expect that from a social scientist, but there you go. That's I'm a geographer by training, so that's where that comes from.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And talk about where you work, Justin, and what you do there.
Sure. So I'm the Vortex Southeast, now Vortex USA Social Science Coordinator. So I coordinate the social science in that aspect. Recently, I've been working as the Mississippi Alabama Sea Grant that I was talking about, and even I do watch, by the way. I'm one of the watchers rather than the listeners. So there you go. That's my. I watch it on YouTube. So this is how I experience this podcast. And Kim mentioned the other week about Tornado Tales, which is something I've been working on for 2 years because it wasn't just about the tech. And if you don't know about Tornado Tales, it's a way that we can try and get generalizable information from the public. What happens when a tornado warning is given, when a tornado watch is given? Where were they? What did they do? Did they do something? Did they not do something? And if we can start to understand why they did or didn't and what their decision-making process is, because we concentrate on our decision-making process all the way through the continuum, but what we don't really know so much about is the public's decision-making process. So that's really what that is about and what we're trying to do with that. It took 2 years though, because of course it had to go through OMB, because we're collecting data on behalf of the government. And so, protecting that data and trying to do something with that data is very, very important. So Kim can talk a little bit more about this as well. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, Kim, jump in there. I know there's a lot to unpack at what Justin just said.
Well, and I also detect a subtle accent too.
Just a little
Maybe
bit, just a
Dothan?
little
Are you from LA, Lower Alabama?
So it's very, very interesting you mention this. I'm going to say I'm about 200 miles to the southeast of Alabama, Birmingham. But Birmingham, England, rather than Birmingham, Alabama. So that places me in London. Kim knows about this. I've used that line before. So I'm going to bring Kim in here because she works very, very close with me. Literally was physically close to me because our office was next door to mine, and now she's transitioned to the federal side. So I have to go down a corridor and ask permission to be there as a foreign national.
You have to be sworn in before you can go in to see her now.
I do.
Past security onto the corner office.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very sad. We have to keep the riffraff out of our federal space. Sorry, Justin.
Oh my goodness, she's become snooty now Justin, since she got sworn in.
I know. I'm a great person to work for, by the way, really great. Justin will agree. But no, the first time Justin was asked that question about where he was from when he had started to work with me, we went to an IWT we'd helped to organize in outside of Birmingham. And it was the State Director of Emergency Management for Alabama who asked what part of Alabama he was from. And without missing a beat, Justin just goes, South Texas. Oh my gosh, everyone died. It was fantastic. I think he has, after that, he solidified a lot of trust with the emergency management community in Alabama. But Justin does a whole lot, and I don't think I have much to add to that other than it's a joy to have him on the team. I'm glad it sounds like the presentation went really well. James A was in the chat talking about that. And I think something that's really nice about what we're doing is we're really trying to cultivate what meteorologists can take so much for granted, having a system of data and observations about the thing we study. And that will really further our science. So Justin is very, very creative, and the Tornado Tales application is definitely, just a one piece you can externally see of the stuff that he's doing with us at the lab.
Oh, that's just outstanding. Anything you want to say to that, Justin?
No, I love working with Kim. I love our team. I think that's the other thing is I'm part of the Behavioural Insights Unit, and there's 550 odd scientists at the National Weather Centre. There's probably 5, 6, 7 maybe social scientists within that. So it's quite interesting that Kim's led the way on that, and it was on her own. And I think that's really brave. And now she's managed to build a team around that, and we're expanding and we're having more influence. I think at so many different levels, both locally, but also nationally and policy level. And Kim can talk to this because, she was talking about the Mississippi Alabama Sea Grant to I think a Senate committee a couple of weeks back or something like that. And I don't know how much she can say about that or not. But I think that, when we start being talked about in the halls of power in that way, then we must be doing something right. And I think that's, really it's down to Kim that got this ball started. I've just come on board and I've tried to, do my small part. But I think what's great is we're a team, and so we all bring a lot of strengths there, and I think that really helps.
That is outstanding. Kim, anything you want to add?
No, I'm just, my face is probably the color of my shirt. For those who can't see me, if you're listening, it's like this very, very deep pink crimson. So I'll just pass this along because I think what's neat about what you were saying about the Ron event and what's emerged from NWA so far, and James A, you can speak to this too. I'm very interested in hearing about the interdisciplinary connections that are being made. I know when I saw the Ron and its session description, it looked like there were a lot of topics in sort of risk decision science, risk communication. Would love to hear a little bit more about what you're learning over there.
So I'll say this, that the theme of the National Weather Association's meeting this year is convergence.
Yeah, you were right on top of that.
This entire conversation has been about people from different disciplines who are in the same enterprise, whether they know it or not. They are in the same enterprise of protecting people from weather hazards, weather, water, and climate hazards, coming together to solve problems that require an interdisciplinary sort of look at things. The RON has taken leaps and bounds to incorporate broadcasters. We saw broadcasters here tonight. We saw emergency managers here tonight. An EM came up to me and said, I want to help with this next year. I want to bring more EM topics here. We had 22 specific topics. They were not all weather related. Some of them were communication and IDSS or in decision support services. Some of them were strict science, and some of them were the sort of intermingling of both of them. It takes all of us. It takes all of us, and everybody at this table, and everybody who's at this meeting. They come from different backgrounds and from different diversity in different ways. Not just what you do and what your job is, but where your experiences from your past, whether it's ethnic experiences or your ethnic diversity, gender diversity, any kind of diversity. It makes the end result a lot better. So that theme of convergence is alive and well right now for this meeting, and the RON really embodies that. I said that in my remarks this evening that I think Ron Prespolinski was on the ball about 15 years ago with the theme of convergence. He knew, and as well as others in our enterprise, that we need everybody on board to move forward and to have good solutions to save people.
Yeah, definitely, Matt. I think that Ron was ahead of his time, and that's one of the reasons why we want to highlight him every year with the Ron meetup, because we can't do this alone. Many hands make light work. So we need partnerships. We need networking. We need people who are willing to come to the table and embrace the various diverse backgrounds and perspectives of how we move atmospheric science forward. And that was the essence of the Ron today. And like Matt said, 90 plus people thought that this was worthy of their time. And I think that is an all-time high. And it highlights what we need to do in the future in terms of atmospheric science and moving the needle forward.
And I think we have to thank all of the members of the committee. Greg Stumpf, who was virtual today. Greg's been a huge part of it. Who else do we need to mention from the RON committee?
Sure. So the RON committee was about 8 different members who worked over the past 6 months. And then we had volunteers who joined probably in the last month to serve as facilitators during the meeting. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention 2 people. And the first person is Elisa Bates, and the second person is Randy Graham. And so
Randy was just here. I was hoping he was going to come and
join. He ran away.
He ran away.
Okay, so I did mention that, I had the honor and the privilege of assuming a new senior executive service role in June. But at the same time, when you assume more leadership, to whom much is given, much is required. And so that meant I needed help in a lot of other spaces and places. And both Randy and Elisa, they picked up the ball and they ran it past the finish line. And we wouldn't have had a successful event if it wasn't for them. So I encourage anybody who's listening tonight, take a look around you. And, there's leadership in all different shapes and forms. It's time for us to really, pay attention to how we can foster leadership in many different shapes and places. Sometimes people call it succession planning, but in this case, it was literally, this is your moment, and we want to make sure that you can do your best and reach your full potential. So thank you, Randy. Thank you, Elisa.
And that's the great thing about the NWA, just see the young people. And Elisa is one of those, because we saw her as a student.
Absolutely.
And she's just moved up. And tonight we all gave her a virtual shout out on the Hoover app, the official app of the conference. And I think that meant a lot to her. It certainly meant a lot to us, what she's done here, and Randy and all the team, because this thing is getting bigger and bigger. It's going to explode out of here. Dr. Jacobs, Dr. Boyd was talking about this coupling, and I know that's come up several times, the ocean and the atmosphere. Talk about that for a moment, the importance of that coupling and understanding what's going on in our world.
Well, it's as Craig McLean would love to say, if you like your 2 and 3 week forecast, thank an oceanographer. It's the long range weather patterns are largely driven by ocean circulation and ocean patterns. And so if we really want to get skill into week 3 and 4, we've got to have a 2-way coupled model where you get wind stress driving the ocean circulation and the feedbacks feeding back into the atmosphere. It's pretty hard, especially on the East Coast in the winter when you have the Gulf Stream with that thermal gradient meandering around. Really has a huge influence. You can't just use a static SST file if you want to have skill out beyond a week.
Well, that's outstanding. I know we're going to say goodbye to our Ron guests here. Dr. Boyd, you need to leave.
Yes.
Thank you. Anything else you want to add before you go?
Well, I just want to thank not only WeatherBrains, because WeatherBrains has been a consistent partner with the Ron in our in-person environment for over, 6-7 years, I
Yeah, I
believe.
think we started probably in St. Louis or maybe in Orange
think so.
County.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's because of you that we continue to market the Ron, that we continue to spread wide and far the importance of research to operations, and as Matt said, operations to research. So it's a partnership, it's a continuum, and it's something that needs to continue to thrive in the future. So thank you so much for having me today. I do need to leave, but again, thank you for your partnership and thank you for being here tonight.
Well, thank you for rescuing us from the broadcasters. We'd be like a broom closet at the Hard Rock Cafe tonight, and James and I wouldn't be able to hear a word James said. You know, that's true. So it can get real ugly over there. So this is much more highbrow.
Yeah, there you
and,
go.
gives us a little more credibility.
Nobody complains that we're not over there because Bill, he has a karaoke list that he has to do. And
Got it, understood.
Lots of ABBA, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I-
Matt, thank you for joining
Oh,
us
of course.
tonight.
Candace, I don't want you to leave. I got to get out of here too, but I don't want you to leave without saying thank you to you.
Thank you.
Right.
She took over the Ron when it was right when we were heading into the pandemic. She kept it alive and kept it going strong and then brought it back here better than ever. So Candace, thank you for all you've
And
done.
thank you for your leadership as well. as
My
the chair of the
pleasure.
WAF.
My pleasure.
All right, good night,
She's a
everybody.
200 kilovolt line parked right in the back of it. She
All
keeps
right.
it going.
Yes.
Dustin, thank you so much for joining us. It's
You're
been awesome meeting you. And we'll expect to have you back on the show sometime soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
All right, James Adelite. It's been a fun 2 days already. It feels like we've been here for a week already.
I just swoop in, sit down, and apparently run everybody off.
Yeah. Don't worry. We got an entire lineup, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
I can run the other guests off too if you'd like.
Well, no, we want you to go out and attract some. You know, you're just an amazing new addition to the show, and we just really appreciate that. Of course, my wife, James, said this is summer camp for meteorologists. And I
it's
looked
air
at her and said,
conditioned.
honey, that's not wrong. It's not only air conditioned, we could hang meat in this room.
Yes.
You know, because it's probably 10 degrees
It's-
colder in here than it is outside.
No, I appreciate the air handling and the air moving, but we are the second coldest we've been since Ryan Vaughn won Broadcaster of the Year at that banquet hall where the lettuce on my plate actually froze. When was that? Was that Madison or North?
Probably. That's the NWA where nobody got to come and we still held it anyway. So, but anyway, yeah, James, it's good to have you back, James Spann up there. It's hard now that we've got James A and James S and James from Alabama and James from Oklahoma, but we're not complaining, that's for sure. I want to invite the executive director of the National Weather Association, Janice Bunting, over here. Jen, I hope I wanted to let you ask Justin a question. Was there anything you wanted to ask him before we let him get away? Because I know that Tornado Tales had to pique your attention.
It certainly did. Yeah. No, I think it's an amazing project. And I guess I didn't have any questions off the top of my head. Just, I don't know if there's any way that we could help you in any way. I don't know if there's a way that Tornado Talk could help, because we're always finding information about where folks were, their stories, how did they try to shelter, what happened, you know, if there was a fatality or something. So maybe there's a way that we can help with that. I'm not sure how far back the project goes, like in years, or if it's a current thing, but we do have some current tornadoes too. So that would be the only thing. If there's any way we could help, we would love to help.
Well, I'll make sure to remind him of that tomorrow. Hopefully he's still here. Janice, grab a microphone. She's no stranger to this podcast. She's the dynamo that keeps this organization running. Janice Bunting, I know you're probably ready for this week to be over. and then it'll be time to plan another one.
It will be.
Yeah.
It
So
never stops.
give us some highlights from this one. I mean, because this is our first, I guess we were in person in Tulsa, hybrid, sorta. And this one seems to be, we're gaining momentum a little bit. And then we're heading toward 2025 and the 50th anniversary of the organization.
It's pretty exciting. I think based on this past year, it'll be here in about 2 months. So I have 3 meetings to plan in between, but this has been fabulous. This kind of feels like the old NWA meetings here this week, because we had 150 in person last year and 350 online, and it was fabulous. But this year we have a little over 350, maybe like 360 here in Pittsburgh, and about 120, 150 online. And the exhibit hall feels like the old exhibit hall, and everybody is so excited. The energy is fabulous.
It really is. It's just outstanding. And the Hoover app makes us feel like the hybrid folks are right here with us. It really does.
It does. It's the best meeting app that I've used, because people can chat continuously. They don't have to chat within the presentation. And there's some fabulous discussions that go on. And we have that app for up to 6 months. So the conversation doesn't have to end this week. People can keep watching recordings and presentations and commenting and connecting with each other.
And that's how I connected with Mike Farrar even after the event 2 years ago. That's how he and I connected. And I went upstairs today because I'm just getting old. You know, James, I'm getting old. I had to go lay down and take a nap. But I was able to play the session that was going on downstairs about flooding. Chrissy Hurley, we had great talks, in that hour and a half, and they were fabulous. And it was just like I was back down in the room, didn't miss a thing.
It is, it's wonderful. And I think having a hybrid event allows more people to attend, because whether maybe like you're having a baby, or you can't get out in COVID, or your employer won't let you travel, you can still participate. And I've heard many people saying that, I just took a little longer to get ready this morning because I could watch the presentation. And I know last year, I don't really want to encourage this because we like having you in the room. It helps warm the temperature up, hint, hint. But some people watched it from the pool in Tulsa.
Oh my goodness, we need those names. They're in big trouble.
Yeah, well, they do a lot for us. We'll let them slide by.
That's awesome. Janice, anything else you need to tell us? We got elections coming up.
We do have elections. We have our candidates in place. We'll be finalizing the dates for the election very soon. So watch your member emails, and you have to be a member to vote in that. So, and we have a great slate of candidates. The board is fabulous, and we're keeping with the tradition where it's a very hard decision to make, but we can't go wrong.
You really do.
Wonderful.
You balance those candidates so that, it's a 50-50 thing sometimes. Matt Alto, we met him, at the NWA in 2011 in Birmingham. He was a student at Penn State, 2 Matts. And, he's here today from AccuWeather, part of their business development group, got a new promotion and a 10-month-old. And, that's the fun parts, watching these kids. Because, James, we were there at the Winfrey, and, these kids came up and said, hey, we want to go to Tuscaloosa. We want to go down and see the stadium. And I just gave them my keys, like, go. They came back, car was washed, back in the same spot. I'm like, this is the future of America,
It really is. It's been fabulous. I think John Gordon was the leader of getting students involved on all the NWA committees. And it's been exciting watching people transition from student to career to mentor. And I've seen that with many people
right,
my age or slightly younger. I mean,
like
you look
Amber
at Amber
Liggett,
Liggett,
right?
Meg.
Jinx. You owe me a Coca-Cola right now, Janice. We
From,
talked at the same time. We said the same thing.
oh, is that the new? Okay,
Yeah, no, that's
okay.
the old thing. That's the 50 years ago. James Adelot remembers that.
I remember it. Yeah.
Or maybe Bruce remembers it. But yeah, people like Amber.
Amber, Megan McClellan,
Right.
Laura Mock. I met them in 2013 when they were students at OU, and now they're mentoring the students. And it's just fabulous because it gives you faith in the future of seeing these students coming up.
And we need some faith.
I
Yes.
think one of the best things this opportunity gives them, and we all seek this feeling that we're making the place better, we're making the world better. And when you can do that to somebody when they're already at a college level and get that head start on getting them invested in, what I'm doing is making a difference. It's
Really?
outstanding.
It is. And helping somebody get on the path. I mean, they make themselves successful, but it helps them along their path, make it better. So it is very rewarding. We're very fortunate to have a lot of dedicated volunteers. And I have to say, I did not do this alone by any means. And
Talk about the chairs real quick.
okay, we have Carrie Bowen and Dave Nussbaum were the program co-chairs. Betsy Kling ran the broadcaster workshop with some help from Sean Cable.
And she gave you a shout out, James, yesterday. She did.
Which
And-
James?
No. I got to remember that's really hard.
Nobody
for me to
ever
do.
gives me a shout out. Come on.
Yeah, I mean the head meteorologist for the state of Alabama. She gave you James a respect the Polygon shout out from the stage.
I like it.
yesterday.
Betsy's the greatest.
She's leading the baseball game tomorrow night. I'm sure. I don't know. I bought tickets. I'm sure she's part of it.
Dave Nussbaum too.
Dave,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm
good.
sure Betsy had her hand in that.
Oh, yeah.
And we have John Banghoff and like Megan and Laura and Carl Lamb and Ashley Palm. Probably left somebody off running the student session, which was fabulous, which involved early career as well.
And it was on Saturday this year, right?
It was. We moved it to Saturday because this is a first week of classes for many students. So we knew it would be tough for them to travel. And we wanted to get them here. So it was a smaller number, but it was wonderful. They got great inspiration and they had more one-on-one time with professionals. So that was fabulous. We had others online. And next year, I think we'll be in a position to bring a lot more students back. And-
Are you dropping a hint
No,
about next year?
Okay. When will we know where it's going to be, Jen?
Very soon. We are fast tracking this. So we are trying to get it done just as soon as possible. And the venue has been helpful. So I don't think it'll be too much longer, I hope, that we'll be announcing it. So everybody will have plenty of time to plan. But this meeting is run by tons of fabulous volunteers, from the run to the master class, which was a fabulous event yesterday. So, there's just hundreds of people helping this.
That's the fun part, James. We remember back in 2011 when we got to do it. I drove everybody crazy. The former program chairs, they quit talking to me after about 2 years. Because John Gordon had written this fabulous Bible of how to do it. And we tried to do everything we could at Birmingham to make it as good as we could. And that's what makes it fun.
It is.
Everybody adding their part.
Now I owe you another Coke. And that was a fabulous meeting.
It was a lot of fun. That was for
was.
sure. And Ken Carey, I looked today and this gentleman sitting at a table in front of me, I said, I know the back of that head. It's Ken Carey. And many of you know Ken had a debilitating stroke in 2016.
Yeah.
And it's been a long road back, but he's recovered a lot of his speech. He looked fantastic. And I tell you, that was, there've been a lot of favorite parts so far. But for me personally, that was one of my favorites. James, you remember Ken and how active and involved he was. And he was a huge part of making sure that we brought back the Weather Fest.
Yeah. Oh, Ken was.
He was adamant.
He
that
was
we
a
were doing one in
powerhouse.
Norfolk.
Yeah, he was a powerhouse volunteer. And I think we'll see him come back even more. But it was so exciting. I saw him walking down along the river the other night. And it's like, old times. So
That's really fabulous because we were very worried about him. And we're glad he's back.
that was very scary. Yes.
Janice, anything else? I can't see the chat. It's too far away. Dr. Jacobs, Kim, Jen, anything you want to add? James Spann, anything you want to add? I guess
No.
that's good.
We were over here chatting about how we need to make a Christmas album. We're having a good sidebar chat, but it's been really interesting to hear more of the goings on of behind the scenes of NWA. Does anybody else have any particular question?
Well, no, I think we're all good here. Janice saved the day because, there's all this preparation. The folks from Factor 110 have been so fabulous helping us get set up. And James would be proud of the setup, but there was only one thing missing, analog, earbuds. And so we had to issue an all call for everybody. And Janice supplied two. We're all sharing earwax here tonight. There's probably going to be a new variant.
Show title.
There's probably
Sharing
there's going to be a new variant, of COVID. It'll be called Earvid, and we're going to be patient zero for that, unfortunately. So sorry about that, Janice. But anyway, Jazz, thank you for being here. Go get some rest, and
I
we'll see
will.
you tomorrow morning.
Thank you all for being here. Missing some of you in person, but it's
How's
great
Bill
seeing you
doing?
here. He's doing great. He's back
know, we
working.
miss him.
Yeah, you'll be seeing his name on the bottom of some, I don't know which shift he's pulling, but he is working shifts this week. So keep an eye out for that.
It'll still be in all
Okay.
caps too.
Yes. John Gordon would kill me, but the good old way. You didn't have to, you
Didn't
happen
have to
to be an
worry.
expert in English. All right. Well, you guys have a great
Thank
evening.
you
It's
for
great to
everything,
see you all.
Janice.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank you
Janice.
for being here.
And of course, Jordan Girth, we met him, right after in Birmingham, and then he ran the event in Wisconsin. Jordan, come join us for a second if you're not too scared to get
Yeah,
over in
no,
the middle of all
I'm
this,
not scared of
all
you.
this biomass and humanity. Grab a microphone, and James, you remember Jordan, and everybody knows Jordan. And it was great to see him.
I'm
here
switching to
today.
the analog earbuds because the little digital delay there.
Good, yeah, a little bit of latency probably there. Jordan, what's going on in your world?
Well, I'm just happy to be here at another National Weather Association annual meeting. As we were talking earlier, we've been at quite a few meetings together over the past, 15 years?
Yeah, Jordan got a much earlier start. I always tell the story because I was a card carrying member for many years, but the local convention bureau where I've been privileged to be the chair for several years in Birmingham approached me and said, why haven't you brought this convention to Birmingham? And they sent me to Louisville and we presented it there. And I think we found out that we shared that as probably our first NWA meeting together.
Yeah. Louisville was great. And Birmingham was great. And we built, I don't know if you know this, I'm a satellite guy.
Right.
But in Birmingham, we had the GOES Users Conference.
GOES-R, right? Is that what we were talking about?
Well, we were
then?
planning for GOES-R, but
Okay.
it was a meeting to really capture the value of NOAA satellites. And of course, there's no better place to do that than the National Weather Association meeting. Then we just added the
short
GOES Users
course on the end,
Conference, and
right.
short course on the end of it. So that was fantastic. And then I said, Birmingham can't have all the spotlight when it comes to satellite stuff. So then we had to go to Madison, the birthplace of satellite meteorology. And that's where we
had a great time there. The only thing is we dealt with furloughs and such things and the budget and
We
the
had a
government.
sequence there. I don't think it didn't impact us in 2011, did it? But
No,
there was
It
something.
was
in-
2012.
So
Oh, it
two or
was
three in a
12.
So
when we got to
2012
Madison. I thought we got to maybe we got to Madison on Friday night before we all knew.
Yeah,
weather service
there
people were coming.
there were some weather service people there, but there was like a sequestration issue, and I forget exactly what transpired there, but we didn't get full attendance, and people kept saying that the first hybrid meeting was last year, but it was actually
No.
2012 in Madison because we had so many weather service people that couldn't join us.
Technology much better in last year. Than
Oh,
it was in
absolutely. 2012. No, not taking anything away from the fantastic job that was done last year, but at the last minute, we had to do so much different because the group travel never got,
Right.
or it got approved for only a small fraction of the government travelers. And then 2013 was the really tough year
Charleston.
in Charleston because none of the government travelers were there because of the shutdown that I think ended shortly, like halfway through the week, and there wasn't enough time to get the government folks there. So
And 9 years later, Ryan Bond is still sore about his lost luggage.
Oh.
To him, that's the bigger tragedy of that one.
yeah.
That's a bigger problem now than even it was then. So what's going on in satellites? What do we need to know?
Well, it's been a great year. It's been a busy year for satellites. So March 1st, we launched GOES T, which is now GOES 18, and it's out over the GOES West location, looking at the Pacific Ocean and the Western United States. And it's actually in operational capacity right now. So it's amazing what NOAA did. People may be a little familiar with what happened with GOES 17. There was a loop heat pipe issue that degraded the imagery. And so NESA's put together a really great testing process to get GOES 18 imaging in only 5 months. And on August 1st, at the beginning of this month, we're now sending imagery from that satellite to the field office. And we're doing that now because this is the time of year with the position of the sun relative to the satellite that the satellite really heats up, and GOES 17 has a really tough time staying cool. And then we'll do that again. That also happens in mid to late October. So we'll image it again. But in November, we have the upcoming launch of JPSS-2, a Joint Polar Satellite System. Second satellite in that series is going to be launching. So we're getting ready for that launch. And that's going to be a really exciting event as well. Hopefully a successful launch and get that into orbit to continue that mission, which provides a lot of value for numerical weather prediction.
Well, we're outstandingly happy that you're here and thrilled about everything you're doing. Anything else we need to know, Gordon?
I'll just say one more thing. We're getting ready for the next generation of weather satellites.
That's my question.
Yeah,
There we go,
we're getting
Jen.
ready for the next generation. So, be on the lookout in the coming years. By around 2030, we're probably going to be getting ready to launch our next generation geostationary, what we're calling GeoXO. We just got the new logos approved. A system requirements review is going on this week. So we're moving forward, and we're looking at increasing the spatial resolution, for example, on the visible imagery down to 250 meters. So another significant incremental improvement in the resolution of imagery. Maybe infrared window imagery down to 1 kilometer or so. So we're going to be able to see things like fires, thunderstorms. Yeah, it's been amazing what we've been able to do with the GOES-R series, and we're going to be able to continue that with GeoXO. So it's really exciting times with satellites. Not only do we have the 2 launches this year, hopefully the second one will be successful, but also this rapid acceleration and capabilities to get another satellite into orbit.
What an exciting time to be part of the satellites.
Absolutely.
To our panelists online here, Jen, Neil, Kim, anything you want to ask Jordan? Don't everybody
I
jump in
can't
at
think of a
once.
question. I was just thinking, and I can't remember which satellite it was because I'm, dingy, but I can't remember what it was. But I remember Nelson using a satellite to find that fire that burned near my house that one night. And he was actually, it was a hot spot. And there was the house right across the corner here was blazing inferno. It was the only thing, and he was able to find the hot spot of it. What would he have been using for that? I thought it was amazing. I'm like, holy mackerel, that's crazy.
Yeah, he was probably using the GOES series of satellites. GOES, many years ago, I was down in Norman, Oklahoma. I think we had a severe weather workshop in March. And I was talking to some emergency managers, and we were showing them the imagery with, overshooting tops and severe convection. And they were like, they were semi-impressed by that. But, there's radar and there's other ways to see that. But then we showed them some of what we were anticipating for what was going to be the GOES-R capability with all the fires. We were watching cranberry bogs burning up. And they were they just couldn't believe it. They said, you can see little fields, they just over a course of 15 minutes, the bog would burn off, the fire would go down, and the satellite captured the whole life cycle. So yeah, it's amazing. Sometimes we see fires before anybody else does, and we're seeing them from a satellite that's over 22,000 miles away. It really is a testament to the amount of technology and the optics that we have to have that capability. And it amazes me every single time when I zoom in on imagery. It's like, we were able to capture this from such a distance away, and we're able to deliver it down in less than a minute. I mean, the imagery is always coming in less than a minute. It's making its journey back, processed in the hands of forecasters, warnings going out, whether it's a wildfire, house fire, thunderstorm development, flood, whatever. We were able to get that imagery back and use it.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, I was so impressed that he was able to hone in on that because it was a crisp, cool night, and that was the only thing going on, and he was able to hone in right on it. It was very impressive. So
did he spot this fire and call you and tell you to get out real quick? Jen, or was this an after the fact?
No, if he had done that, I would be highly impressed, and he should just skip school and come work for you all. But no, he
these
I
chipmunks
was
have special powers.
They
I
do.
wouldn't put it past them.
Me either. No, I was talking about it the next day because I woke up in the middle of the night and just happened to wake up, and I'm like, man, did I already sleep in? It's really bright outside. And I walked downstairs and I looked out, and the whole house was aflame. And I saw it before the emergency responders had even shown up yet. So I called 911, and they were on their way, but it was already engulfed. it was really scary because if the winds had kicked in, it would have been a different scenario in my neighborhood. So luckily things were okay. But yeah, he just analyzed it after the fact and was able to find and pinpoint that. So it was neat.
There's that proof of concept. Now, Jordan, today I know that Mike Bild was talking about the 50th anniversary of Agnes. Did you get here in time to see his presentation, all of his great photographs? And he had some satellite pictures from June of 1972. And I looked at those and I thought, boy, we've come a long way in 50 years.
We've certainly come a long way since those images of the 1970s. But it's a remarkable because we built on that success. You know, we built on that success.
Standing on their shoulders.
The 1970s. So every decade we've improved capability a little more. And yeah, I mean, with thinking about the era without geostationary satellites and the end-to-end impact of that imagery, not only for meteorologists, but for people to see there's something out there and to take action. I think, you know, there's a lot of power in that imagery that we almost take it for granted at this point because we see the power of storms in imagery. And I think even just showing that imagery on news through social media, people understand the gravity of the situation when we have satellite imagery, even if they're not satellite analysts. So I'm always in awe of the work that I do. And I look at imagery and I say, I can't believe we captured something. We geo-reference it, meaning we map it to the earth with such precision. We integrate it into numerical weather prediction, assimilate the data, it makes forecasts better. We do so much with that data. And we still have more to do, which is even more amazing.
But that stuff is mesmerizing. These high resolution floater just locked in on a hurricane eye. Or thunder, just cumulus bubbling. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
Well, what we learned from that. Dr. Jacobs.
Yeah, I'll tell you one of the coolest things I've seen is the visible satellite imagery of an actual rocket launch of another satellite. That was pretty slick. I just wanted to take a second and give a big shout out to the NESDIS folks for recovering the ABI instrument. I was at NOAA at the time, and that was going to be a catastrophic loss. And we were scrambling around to try to figure out what to do. And some very, very crafty software engineers figured out how to use some machine learning techniques to do this adaptive calibration technique to recover. I think it was around 98 some odd % of the data, which is amazing because it pretty much meets all its mission requirements when originally we thought it was going to be borderline space junk. So that was a heroic effort.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, NESDIS, we learned a lot about how to find the sweet spot for that satellite to image most of the time. As I mentioned, we still had some downtime in key seasons, and this is one of the key seasons as we go into hurricane season. We really couldn't risk having the 4 to 6 hours of degraded imagery. And that's why we had to rush GOES 18 in service. But for significant other portions of the year, GOES 17 was able to perform its mission and provide the forecasters with the infrared data, just like GOES 16 was. So Neil's absolutely right. NESDIS did heroics to recover the majority of capability from that instrument, and Weather Service is better for it as a result.
Kim, anything you want to add?
I'll just quickly add that conversation about the ability to do hotspot detection is extremely important here in the South Central Plains. And I know that personally, my use of satellite technology has increased dramatically. I mean, it's great in storm season now with the amazing capacity we have to have rapid updates and to zoom in ways we never could before. The features you can see with the data are so incredible for real-time analysis, even to some degree, mesoanalysis. You know, you can assess environments better than you could before using that data. But here, one of the most useful things by far for our populations has been that ability to do hotspot detection, because it's very common that we'll have something show up on satellite before anyone knows about it. And you can work through, the different layers of emergency response systems very quickly to get the issue taken care of as fast as you can. Here in Oklahoma, if you're on top of it, that can be the difference between actually having some containment and having a blaze go on for like 2 weeks. So yeah, I think that it's just remarkable what's gone on, and very thankful for all of the scientific advances. I think, if anything, I would just be interested in hearing your perspective on of all the incredible things that have been put into these complex packages that go up into space now, and all the things that you can do from your view. I guess no pun intended, the 8 Mile high view here. What do you see as some of the pieces of the technology or techniques that have generated the most benefit and value for people? What gets the most feedback?
We get so much good feedback about GOES. I would say that the resolution of the imagery is really what I think drives people to continue to look at that. And to some extent, the optics are already impressive. I think people even want it to be a little bit better. That's why I talk about where we're going with the next generation of satellites is, people really, they can go on Google Maps and they can see the fire outline now due to some work that Google has done. And they can look at the imagery and they can, they can see a rough outline of the fires, but I think they want it even higher because people go on Google Maps, they can see, they got street view now. You've got the satellite view. People can see houses. Somebody called me a long time ago telling me, somebody broke into my house. I really want to know what color car was in the driveway.
You'll be able to read the
and they're like, they were telling me, they're like, I know, and I'm like, no, I don't know. I really don't. And he said he had it narrowed down to his buddy and his ex-girlfriend or something, and he just needed to know if the car was black or red, and I said I couldn't tell you. But the optics and the resolution of the spatial resolution of the imagery, I think, again, has been a huge feat, and I think we only have room to grow in that. The temporal resolution has also been great. The watching the fire, whether there's a fire grow or that overshooting top, I think we're only at the tip of the iceberg right now in getting that information. I think there's a lot more information about updraft speed that we can get from incremental images that by looking at it, you probably could not ascertain which updraft is stronger than the other, but looking as we go through this worn-on forecast paradigm and really just trying to understand how incremental changes in very shallow convective cells leads to greater convective development down the road could really open some avenues for us. So I'm excited to come back on WeatherBrains in the next 5-10 years and tell you all the great things that we're planning for with GeoXO and everything that we can do with the next generation of satellites.
Well, you got a standing invite. James Spann, I know your pick tonight's going to be satellite related.
Yes, I'm about to say that you're stealing my thunder. So this product,
literally,
it takes multiple channels, out of the ABI, and it comes up with this product to predict the probability of lightning in the next 60 minutes. That's fascinating, and it's darn good. And for those of us that deal with air mass thunderstorms in the summer every single day, it's an amazing product. It's a treasure trove. And I really don't think we appreciate it. I mean, I do because I'm old as dirt. And I go back to, the imagery we used to use a long time ago. You remember the printouts, Bill Murray? Remember those things?
Yeah, we'd have to go to the weather
black and white
to
prints. I mean, how times have changed. So we are living in amazing times.
Yeah, when we were talking about Agnes today, of course, Mike Bild is the hurricane program manager for FEMA Region 3. That was a fascinating talk, though.
It was great.
Because, that I remember Camille, but Agnes was sort of my first, real hurricane. And I was so excited at 10 years old. And it was kind of like reliving it today. James, you remember Agnes, I'm sure.
I do. It was 1972.
Yeah, Mexico Beach, just like Hurricane Michael. So that's great. Well, Jordan, thank you for joining us. Always glad to have you here. Thank you for being a friend of the podcast.
Absolutely.
Go have fun.
All right. Thanks a lot.
See you around all week.
Everybody having a great meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Take care.
Jordan. Thank you.
We've heard from Troy tonight. He's tied up in IT issues, like a lot of us. So he sends his sends his love and appreciation and wishes he could be here. But now Rick Smith has joined us. He's been at the happy hour for the new director. Karaoke for
karaoke is next. Happy hour with the weather service directors going on now.
Of course, Rick is a rock star at these things, and he spotted there was a presentation today, and he's the one who spotted the classification information in the lower left-hand corner. So that's right. Those sort of things we have to keep straight these days.
Unclassified. Yeah, I mean, it's been a great conference, and just down the street, the weather service is having I don't know what you call it, a happy hour, social activity, lots of synergistic collaboration going on within a great environment. Ken Graham's there, and he's going to be here in a little bit, hopefully. And yeah, it's just been a great conference. It's always good. It's the first time to get together like this in a long, long time. So we're just glad to be here. It's awesome.
So what are some of your biggest takeaways so far after day 2, right? Or day 3, I guess now?
Day 3.
To count the students.
Yeah, I didn't get here in time for most of the students, but I was here for the broadcaster Sunday. And I don't know, the big takeaway is just getting together again and just talking and sharing stories. I'm really excited about the Kentucky tornado session tomorrow. That's going to be really good. Some really powerful speakers from Springfield and Paducah, Western Kentucky University. So some really good stuff coming up. But I don't know, my takeaway so far has just been it's so good to get together and see the broadcasters, the weather service. There's more emergency managers here than I remember seeing before.
Including the one from Jefferson County in Birmingham.
That's right, Melissa Sizemore. And yeah, so it's just been great and good. It's strange how you have to come so far to have to come all the way to Pittsburgh to see James Adelot, who's just up the turnpike from me. So, but it's a great time. And yeah, it's I guess the broadcasters thing is going on now. And
you can't hear it. It's only half a mile away, but I'm surprised we can't hear it.
I can tell you, I texted this to Kim a minute ago. It is jarring to come from the environment I was just in into this calm scientific discourse on WeatherBrains.
So, that's what this is. Okay.
That's what I'm calling it.
Is he in the right room?
That's what I'm calling it.
Well, and I had to check my What Would Rick Do bracelet this morning to make sure what to wear. So James, I wore the WeatherBrains shirt because I just knew Rick was going to show up in his tonight.
I've disappointed you.
That's sorry, all right. You got to keep them guessing.
I still have it. I know where it is.
I just didn't bring it because of the paparazzi outside.
That's true. So. Well, and he arranged a great photograph at 11 o'clock this morning with all of us, including Nate Johnson and Aubrey Urbanowitz, who's here, and the 3 of us. And that's always a treasure.
Nate and his Santa beard. Yeah.
Nate's beard is impressive. That's a fear of the beard sort of thing.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
That's pretty crazy. And of course we saw Greg Carbon today. Mm-hmm. He is not doing his meteorological memories at the conference, which is big news, James, because on December 19th, it'll be the premiere of Mr. Carbon's meteorological memories.
We'll have the exclusive here on this show. Yeah,
that's right. That's exciting. And you mentioned the tornado and the tornadoes in Kentucky and the Ohio Valley, back in December. Trent Okerson and Noah Bergener, from WPSD and Paducah are going to join us on December 10th. I think that's the date. I'll have to check that. But
they did a great presentation, very powerful.
James, it reminded me a lot of, the way we felt after April 27th, because it just, and I feel like I lived that night a little bit because we have hotels in Kentucky and we were concerned for them and they both narrowly missed the tornadoes. And it's just a scary thing. So,
yeah,
but we're excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they did a great presentation and, we talk about stress, critical incident stress, and you don't even have to live through the event. Just listening to those stories. There was a weather service forecaster who was the warning forecaster at the Louisville office who did a presentation right before that. Amazing story of what he went through and actually went and did the survey the next day after that. And then hearing the TV guys that kind of wrapped up the session for the day. It was, it's powerful stuff. I mean, it's no matter where you are, no matter, it doesn't matter where you are. When you go through one of these events, it's impactful and it lasts forever with you.
And most PTSD studies show that it is a cumulative effect. So even if you feel no effect from that, a very minor issue after that can be what puts you over the edge. And so it's
Cumulative.
very real.
It's very real. And people's glasses are different sizes. And some people you're putting drips and drips in there and it takes a while. Sometimes it may be the one drip that's a little tiny event that you didn't, it's not that big of a deal. There's no deaths and all of a sudden that's the tipping point. So yeah, it can get any of us and it's important to just be aware that that can be a thing.
And I was thrilled to hear Betsy yesterday making that a constant message from the stage. If you need help,
yes,
don't hesitate to ask.
You're not alone.
Right.
You're not alone, no matter how alone you feel. And there's not a lot of students here this time, but so often students get these new jobs in some distant remote TV market or a distant remote weather service office away from family. And we've seen instances where that's had, they weren't able to handle it. But yeah, Betsy's message was awesome. You're not alone. And that's really a message within the weather service too, from all these events is you shouldn't have to do all this by yourself. If the Tulsa office is going through a big deal, Norman should be helping them. If the Paducah office is going through a big deal, as we saw in December, other office can help. Let us pick up your aviation forecast. Let us do this for you. Let us come help you do surveys. Don't be afraid to help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That's a big message that's coming out of not just this conference, but in studying that December event. And, it's, I don't know, you could just feel the community here in the room
And
talking
whatever
about
the
that kind of stuff.
circumstances, whether it's the organizational issue or a personal issue, you're not the only one feeling this.
Right.
This is not a first. People have been through this.
That's right.
Yeah, just
And I
ask.
think some people, that's one of the barriers to get over is some people think I'm not supposed to be feeling this way. I'm not a first responder, whatever, but it is okay to feel this way. And there's a bunch of other people in this room that are feeling the same way. So yeah, you're not alone. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to feel it. So anyway, I could go on and on about that. But
We'll talk about the position that's in the weather service now that comes and helps. And Kim or Neil probably had something to do with it. May want to jump in on that.
yeah, Valerie Gardner, Lieutenant Commander Valerie Gardner, she's the National Weather Service Behavioral Health and Wellness Officer. And she's doing a lot of work. She actually traveled to Paducah, to Louisville, to Memphis after the tornadoes to talk to the staff about critical incident stress. She's a valuable resource. I've emailed her about things, talked to her about things other offices have. And the Weather Service is taking this seriously. It is a serious thing. Health and wellness among the staff is important. That includes mental health. Mental health is health. And a lot of times that's stigmatized and you're not, you might not want to talk about it, but it is something. So the Weather Service is treating it very, very seriously. It started under Louis. Ken Graham, 1000% will continue that emphasis. So it's encouraging. I mean, it's stuff that's not going to go away. It's stuff, and it doesn't matter whether you're a TV meteorologist, weather service, researchers, an insurance adjuster, a journalist, anybody can experience it. So anyway, it's sad that we have to go through it, but it's awesome that it's getting the attention it deserves.
We're human beings.
We're people. Yeah,
And-
we're not robots. And we live here. We live in the communities we serve. And I'm just as nervous going to work on a tornado outbreak day as anybody else. Is the house going to look the same when I come home? Is the family ready? So yeah, I mean, we're people. I mean, it's okay. It's
And
okay to be a person.
Absolute kudos to your agency for leading the charge on taking care of this.
Well,
I mean, I see it not in the agency and I'm extraordinarily impressed. That is an organization looking after its people.
well, it's overdue. It's Valerie Gardner, it's Christina Crow from the Learning Academy that have really been the driving force behind this, and lots of other people are getting interested in it. I'm lucky enough to have a presentation tomorrow at 4:00 on the agenda talking about some training we put together to help people who go out and do damage assessments, not just weather service, but anybody who's exposed to that trauma after the event. So that's going to be a presentation tomorrow afternoon that I'll be doing with lots of help from Christina Crow.
That's outstanding. James Spann, anything you want to add there? I know we all went through it after April 27th. We never wanted to see another tornado.
No, I didn't look. This is not the first time. It's not the last time. This is going to go on for generations. And I think that it's great that a group of people like Rick, they understand the mental health side of this. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody has until now. So it's great work and it needs to continue. And again, this won't be the last time. I mean, we're going to have it again and again and again and again. So just a big kudos to all of those that are, out there working on this and letting people know it's okay not to be okay.
And James Trent Okerson had a story. We all have Mayfield, Kentucky imprinted on our minds from that night because it was one of the more high profile tragedies. But he did a school visit the day before. At an elementary school in Mayfield. And that just gave me shivers when I heard him say that.
He had a picture with the sixth graders he had visited. And then he had a picture from about a week later when he went back to visit. The exact spot where he had taken the picture with the sixth graders was now a relief center filled with donations and food supplies and things like that. And you could tell when they were doing the presentation, they, both of them were pausing. I mean, it was emotional for them even now. So,
and he talked afterwards about, he wasn't okay. He had 100-degree fever that night. We'll talk about this when he's on the show, but he said, he had to call the news director the next morning and just said, I'm not okay.
I'm not okay. Yeah.
And, that's very honest and very bracing when you hear that. James, we got some breaking news. One of our friends of the show.
You have a sounder for this?
Yeah,
well, wait just a minute.
Yeah, there we go.
We interrupt this program for a CBS Radio Net Alert Bulletin.
One of our favorite people, Jeff Craven, who's done so much tremendous work with the National Blend of Models, is the new MIC here in Pittsburgh shortly. And so now that's public knowledge. And he was actually in town today, one of the session chairs, and I heard the dulcet tones of his voice over my Hoova app. As he was talking, I was like, you recognize that voice anywhere.
Lots of black and gold clothes, isn't he?
And lots of cool stuff happening with the National Blend of Models, that Mike Farrar talked about. Anything you want to say about that, Dr. Jacobs, about it?
I think it's a pretty interesting and awesome product. I mean, it's the future. It's when we're talking about probabilistic forecasting, being able to intelligently blend all the different models is the way to go. And I think as much as people want to have all these competitions and pick the one best model, even the one best model can't beat the blend of models.
And it's becoming more probabilistic, and that sounds like that's certainly the way of the future too. So that was exciting. But it was great to hear Mike Farrar. Of course, he was with us in late 2020, and everything he talked about that night, James and Rick, is still ongoing. All those upgrades and things are, all that's happening, and great things are coming in the future. Computing power that we can't even fathom at this point. It's going to take to run this unified forecast system.
And I sound like the old guy, but I remember standing in front of the DieFax machine in the map room at OU, watching it come in line by line.
Yeah, here's your chance to.
There's the LFM coming in.
Poetic, James Spann. The LFM and all those things in our day.
Limited fine mesh. Yeah, buddy.
It was limited.
It wasn't fine.
I want to ask Bruce to come over. Bruce, come over and join us here and hook up, share some earwax with us. Bruce, I walked in Sunday night. I was late, was it Sunday night? Saturday night. And Bruce was just happened to walk through the door. So I made him a victim. James, I like to eat weird things. So I had heard about this Japanese restaurant across the place there, and we walked over. And what did we have, Bruce? Something I'd never even had, a shabu shabu.
Shabu shabu. I thought it was the trained whale from SeaWorld. I thought they'd cut it up.
It may have been that first thing.
What restaurant was this? The House of Hunan? Where did you guys go there?
Something like that, yeah.
I think we brought the place down. We bought the dinner for two, and they cooked it right in front of us.
It wasn't that super rare fish that has to be prepared just right, or it'll kill you.
I hope not. At least we're still here.
2 days.
Yeah, at least we're still here. Yeah. So that's good. Bruce, we thank you for all your support you've given us over the years. You've been a great friend, and it's always great to see you here, Midland, and you brought tchotchkes this year. So explain what a tchotchke is.
Well, that's it's a good Yiddish word for one of those just little useless little things that you have, a little piece of junk. So we brought some little measuring tape so you can measure your hail. And then I brought some doggy poop bags as well.
There we go.
And I thought, well, there comes a point in time where the hail gets so big, you shout out, oh, whatever, and you need the poop bag to pick it up. So
Well, maybe
there
we
we
can
go.
get a WeatherBrains logo and put it on there. James ate a lot. Be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect for this show. If we need to pick out a
WeatherBrains-
shot to give you.
WeatherBrains poop bag.
Yeah, just make sure you're measuring that. Measuring the hail with it. not-
Yeah, measure the hail, not the. I would like to say that tomorrow, Midland Radio Corporation is sponsoring the swim
Right.
luncheon, which is supporting women in meteorology. And we've done this the last couple of years. And, I go back a few years back to where it was rare to see a woman in the meteorology field. Very rare, and very rare to see a chief meteorologist at a TV station. I mean, that was just almost unheard of. And I once heard a consultant say that you just don't hire women as chief meteorologists.
Wow.
Because they just don't have the credibility. This was back in the 80s. Can you imagine that? And now it's just, you wouldn't think of anything other. I mean, it's just so common now. So the Supporting Women in Meteorology luncheon really kind of brings the ladies together. And we have a great speaker, Teresa Rossi, who was, I believe, the first female meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service. She's the very first one. And, we think back to those firsts, and now it's just commonplace. And it's so much better to have it be commonplace rather than to be an exception.
How courageous, though, for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
That can't be easy.
Dr.
No.
Jacobs, I know you want to sound off there probably.
I go back to that show we did with Kelly Bonner and everyone. That is probably one of the most viewed shows. And when I send that link to people, they're still amazed at what a lot of the women
What they
TV
go
mets
through.
deal
Right.
with. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's been talked about here a lot. That show specifically gets mentioned to me almost anytime I say I'm from WeatherBrains. They say that show touched them. And I'm talking about the male audience.
You've done important shows, but I don't know that any have been that important.
I think you're right. That was not an easy show to approach. And it was hard to do. It really was. It's emotional now, just kind of thinking about it.
It's an eye opener, isn't it? You have no idea that stuff's going on because they don't necessarily tell you that it is,
That's right.
It's almost an embarrassment to have to deal with that kind of nonsense. And to think that they put up with it on a regular basis. I don't know how they do it.
No, me either, Bruce. Bruce, anything else? You got a lot of ribbons there. You look like you're ready for the Joint Chiefs of Staff or something.
That's what I thought. I'm like one of those Russian generals, I need an epaulet. I need some ropes hanging off this shoulder. I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, we're happy to be here, happy to support the NWA. It's a wonderful organization. And for those of you who are fans of weather, you should join this group. You don't need to have a meteorology degree. You just need to have a love for weather. And it's a wonderful, wonderful organization.
And you get to come to summer camp for $412. It's not a bad deal.
That's a bargain.
We heard about Russian generals earlier today.
We did, Will. I was going to say, Will Henning, the 14th Weather Squadron. We actually heard, Rick, about the cost of losing those stations in Ukraine.
That was amazing. That was a great way to start the day. Kathy Sherman Morris, the president, wanted to really highlight the military's role in meteorology. And I guess we had 4 different speakers there during an hour, and just fascinating. It really tagged on well to our show with the oceanographers, whenever that was, a week or so ago, just on the military support and things that they do. And we joked about the screen saying unclassified, but yeah, it was amazing. And they talked specifically about, well, the troops are massing on the Ukrainian border, and the instant questions are, well, what's the weather like in the wintertime? What's the permafrost, or, all kinds of weather questions. And they just had to figure it out because, they didn't have a climatology or anything. It was just fascinating. I thought that was a great idea to have those people here.
And James, you get those calls, what's the weather going to be in June for my wedding? Apparently that's a thing in the meteorology too.
Yeah, but that's a little bit higher pressure. What's the weather going to be like for this invasion and whenever? It's like, yeah, it's a whole different level, but fascinating.
But I was so struck by the professionalism, of all those, outstanding men and women that are serving our country, both on the show last week and the folks we had on the stage today.
And you know what, one of the cool things about it is we like to talk probabilistic forecasting. That's what we're going to. But they're very deterministic when you're
Very.
asking questions, can we fly from here to there?
That's
Ooh,
right. And can I use this
That's
weapon
treasure.
or this visual sounder or whatever?
Or the story about doing airdrops of supplies. And if the wind's not just right, the airdrops of supplies could end up across the border in another country or something
Yeah.
if you're not careful. So, okay, do we have Hail to the Chief queued up?
Bruce, thank you for
Yeah,
joining
thanks.
us. Yeah.
I'll bow out here.
Yeah, let's, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're so honored, because it's really hard to get at this man's time. Mr. Ken Graham, who's the new director of the National Weather Service.
Congratulations.
And
too.
and many congratulations, Ken. And we're thankful that it's you. There probably were a lot of people that, were candidates for this job, but we don't think there was anybody better suited.
Yeah, I think it's incredible you saying that. I just left a social. We had the weather service folks there, and just seeing everybody there, interacting with ideas, talking about the future. This is the most humbling thing that's probably ever happened. Honestly, just getting this job. I got to remind myself. That's why I did this.
Wow.
The director on my shirt, because I got to remind myself of this because it's
You got to
so
be
humbling.
pinching yourself.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes I wake up and it's like, wow, this really happened. So it's been an incredibly humbling experience. It's been amazing.
Ken, I described where we just came from as collaborative synergy in a very constructive environment. No, it was coming here. That was such an amazing show of support for you with all the weather service employees that showed up to that. That was awesome.
It was amazing. And just I thanked everybody. We just stopped for a second, just thanked everybody because it hasn't been easy, right? I mean, think about the increase in risk. How many fires? I mean, the fire season's like year round now. I mean, how many floods? So we've run out of names on hurricanes in 2020 and 2021. We did all that during COVID. It's been tough on folks, right? So now we're regrouping. We're coming back. We're talking about the future. We're all supporting each other. It's just been an amazing experience. There's a lot to come and a lot to come.
Well, to have two of the greatest jobs there have to be in the weather enterprise, the director of the National Hurricane Center, and then this job. It has to be incredible.
It's again, it's humbling. It's amazing. I mean, it's just, look, what's life about? It's about, trying to make a difference, right? It's about, having the passion for your job. It's about, I love coming to work every day, right? It's just absolutely amazing to think about. I mean, it's just a chance to make a difference. It's a chance to get input from everybody. And it's an old saying, right? It's like leaving the place better than you found it type of thing. And it's just because everybody that gets the job tries to make incremental changes and really going forward to make a difference. And that's exciting. I get excited about that.
Well, Nate, it's so good to have you here. Of course, Nate is in charge of the NBC Universal O&Os and the meteorology side. And I've just conflated you to the head of the whole thing there. So you can't hear what anybody's saying, Nate. We're glad you're here. I want you to get in because you're part of us.
I have a Ken Graham story.
Here we go.
Ken Graham story. This ought to be interesting.
So Ken Graham, 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, 2015. We're doing AMS broadcast and the Weather Warnings and Communication Conference in Raleigh. And because of we had panel discussions, it was going to be a big deal. And Ken obviously was involved with Katrina, and Robert Ricks was involved with that. They're coming from the Slidell office, had some travel issues. The authorization, I think, got canceled, something like that. Anyway, they to make the conference, they got in the car in Slidell,
I remember that,
the night before, and drove all night long and showed up at the meeting. We're on time for the opening session, dog tired, but they showed up and it got the job done.
I remember that.
And
that was awesome.
That's killer. And I still owe you. Thank you for that.
We got it done.
Yeah, because that was a big part. Like Robert, wrote the Doomsday PNS, about
so
that
prophetic,
and everything, and to have them miss the conference, we had a bunch of stuff wrapped around them for that meeting. And so to drive all night, the commitment of that to show that was so.
It was crazy. All the flights were canceled. We couldn't get the travel orders. Flights were canceled. Had no other way. And I remember looking at Robert. And he goes, I don't like that look on your face. I said,
don't pull an all-nighter.
I said, you want to go? I said, yeah, I want to go. I said, I do too. let's get the car and go. So we got in the government vehicle. We drove the whole way. I'm glad there's no video in existence anywhere on the universe about the music we played to keep each other awake and all the snacks. It was like road trip
Get through it.
college
Get
or
through
something
it.
type
Yeah.
of thing. We laughed and it was absolutely amazing. We were not going to miss that opportunity. No way.
So cool.
No way.
As the chair of that conference, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So Ken, we're coming up on the 17th anniversary here, I guess, in the next week or so of that horrific event. And we were standing, James, you know, Brian Peters and I were standing on the Mississippi Gulf Coast when that message from Robert Ricks came, and it's like, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody was paying, not nobody, but a lot of people on the Mississippi coast were not taking it seriously because of their experience with Hurricane Camille.
Yeah, it's, you know, we talk about this all the time. You can't compare storms. I mean, I use these words that are trying to be catchy, like little wiggles matter. I use all this because it really matters. We're trying to get to a probabilistic approach to our forecasting, and it really is trying to account for those little wiggles. But yeah, you can't compare storms. Just because it didn't happen last time doesn't mean it won't happen next time. It's tornadoes, it's floods, it's everything. And you can't
fires.
You can't say, you know, it's never happened before, because you can't use that. So yeah, people were comparing to Camille. They're comparing it to other storms, but I think, you know, I just remember rolling up in, you know, the motorhomes and the U-Hauls with supplies and really trying to keep everybody, you know, they went through a lot. I mean, think about the staff going through this. I mean, think about losing their homes, their own families. I mean, they you know, that's just something that we talk about. And even recent events, you see weather service staff, you know, even media, right? Even emergency managers, they go through these big events with a sense of duty to get the job done, to save lives. But at the same time, their own families are in danger, their own homes are in danger. So I just get incredibly humbled with this whole entire profession. Everybody getting this job done is amazing. And you'll never forget the faces in Slidell rolling up with some supplies, and the hugs, and, you know, just the tears, and just keeping everybody fed the basic needs. Slept in a pop-up trailer in a motorhome there for a month in the parking lot. Probably the hottest I've ever felt. After these big hurricanes, the heat afterwards is just incredibly oppressive. But yeah, you never forget that. So, and that's why in this job, Rick knows, I mean, the number one priority that I've said is our people. We got to take care of each other.
And I think when you came and spoke to the Ron tonight, they heard that message, and I know they heard it in the Weather Service event. Talk about your challenges and objectives, Ken, as we go forward.
I've had three big priorities. It's our people, number one. So you think about the flexibilities with shifts. You think about how to take care of each other. Are there better ways that we can do business? We got to take care of each other. So you think about the impact-based decision support. It's added a lot of work. Collaboration adds a lot of work, but we're still trying to do everything that we did before. How do we focus? How do we really focus on what's important? So the people part of it is absolutely number one, taking care of each other. And the new hire courses, the new people coming in, they're like, you know, I love this mission. I'm really excited about it. I kind of want some flexibilities in the job. I mean, there's ways to do that. So that's one. Number two is our infrastructure. I got to shore up the infrastructure, everything from chat to the website, to the computers. And we got funding. We're actually fixing a lot of these things, which is exciting. But I'm also concerned with what's the infrastructure for 2030. How are we going to build something? This cloud thing gets thrown on. We're not talking about cumulonimbus. We're talking about some computer cloud type of thing. I don't know what it is.
Those are the easy kind of clouds.
Easy clouds. We're building some sort of cloud thingy. So what does that mean? What is that infrastructure for 2030 that's going to be sustainable? I do not want to spend my whole career in this job band-aiding the infrastructure. Okay, so we got to figure out ways to really shore that up and make sure it's really dependable. So that's the other big thing. And the other one is our future. So what's the next radar? What's probabilistic forecasting look like? What does a probabilistic database look like? How do we communicate? I see who's all there. I see James on there. How do we communicate you know, the probabilistic forecast? We're talking about exceedance probabilities. There's only what is the science behind worst case scenario? You go to an EOC, they're like, you give a whole briefing full of science and goodness, and they're like, Ken, come here. And look around like it's a big secret. What's really going to happen?
Every time.
What is that?
Every time.
So they do that every single time. Rick, you've been there. So, and the other part is like, okay, well, what's the worst case scenario? Don't ask a meteorologist what the worst case scenario is. We'll take the moon out of orbit.
Oh yeah, I'll come up with, yeah, you don't want to know.
We'll take care of some stuff in the worst case scenario, right? So what's the science behind worst case scenario? Looking at this probabilistic, looking at hazard services. How do we put some polygons in everything we do to reduce the false alarms? We have a lot of work to do. So that's what I want to do. And I think all of that comes into play. And I think that just incredible. I just, everybody keeps saying, how can we help? How can we help? So we're really going to try to put those plans together.
And Ken, there are always naysayers. You mentioned it tonight, when the internet came out, this internet may be going a little too fast here, so, how do you build consensus? That's a critical component of being a leader.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere without us all being together. So, I mean, look, even if we'd like to get the touchdown, I guess in this case, get to the touchdown. Look, if I could get the agency to the 30, 40, 50-yard line, we're good. We're on the right path, right? So, we're involving everybody from day one. We're getting input from every office. I just said it to the group here. I've said it in all my videos to everybody. We're going together. I don't want to spend my whole time in this job fighting whether we should do something or not. Everyone's going to have a chance to provide input. Everyone's going to have a say. And then once we come up with a plan, we're going together. After that, there's no finger pointing. There's no this and that. What if this? We're going to go together. That's really important to me. And if we can't get all the way on the first round, that's okay. Let's go somewhere together, if that makes sense. And I think we have a lot of work to be able to put that together. And you know what? I think everyone's asked for this. This isn't my plan. This is what I'm hearing when I visit the offices. This is what I hear from media, emergency managers, the employees. I'm hearing these challenges, and those are the ones we're going to tackle.
And Dr. Neil Jacobs, that has to be music to your ears, I guess.
Oh, you have no idea how happy I am. I mean, this is not an easy job, but Ken is absolutely the right person. And I'm just sitting back and watching all the great things unfold.
That's true. That's true. James Ben, anything you or Jen want to add from the virtual there?
Ken, I hope you understand how much support you have. Oftentimes all it takes is one negative comment or one challenging situation, but I have never seen such support in any enterprise like you have among those obviously under your watch on the NOAA side, but also those in the private sector. So thanks in advance for what you're going to do. You bring energy and passion and integrity and sense and an understanding of the people that you serve, and it's really great. So just understand, we're pumped, man. You got it. We're ready to go, man. I'm just getting started now. This is good stuff.
And we're going to go together. So when I say go together, it's not just the employees in the weather service, just responding to Neil and you, James. It's you all too, right? It's emergency managers. It's the media. We're going to go somewhere together, right? We know there's work. We need to shore that up. And Neil and I've talked about it before. It's this infrastructure of the future. It's the modeling of the future. How do we get everybody involved and be able to help us out with that? The risk is going up, right? The fire season's year round. We're seeing this. We're seeing, places. How many times do we hear, well, it's never happened here before? Well, that's happened with more frequency. So we can't do that alone. You can't. It's too much. So we have to go together as an enterprise. We have to go together, thinking differently as we go into the future. We got to think out of the box as we go forward, and really how to figure out how those partnerships get us there, because you can't do that alone. No one entity can do this alone anymore. There's too much going on.
And James, you were saying something the other night about how we've largely solved the meteorological problems. Like, we knew the Mayfield tornado was going to Mayfield. They had days and days of warning in general, and then, above average lead time. There's plenty of time. We still lost life.
Far too many.
And the problem is, we still have work to do on the meteorological piece, but the place that we need to go forward is working those partnerships and finding out, because some of these problems are wicked, as you said. They are wicked problems that involve things beyond the stuff that just the weather enterprise can do. We've got to reach out to other entities to pull them into the conversation and bring them into the fold so that we can try to solve those
and other
systemic
sciences.
problems. Yeah, absolutely.
Other sciences, we talk about social science. Look, we can give an 1.5-hour lead time on a flash flood. What do you do? If I was a recipient of that, I'm like, okay, this is bad. What do I do? How do you tie that message into action? How do you make what we do actionable every single time? I mean, right? If you think about that, we're getting so much better with the science and the lead time, but there's more to work. There's more work to do with the science too, because there's pockets. I can tell you there's going to be a big flood event, but I can't necessarily tell you a few days it's going to happen right here. And it's going to be 10 inches of rain, 20 inches of rain. So there's still work to do associated with that. But as we get more probabilistic, if we look at programs and probabilistic warnings and that sort of thing. How do we communicate that to say, okay, I need to start doing something now. When that ramps up, it triggers another action. So tying that social science into that, we've got to have more conversations about that, because I mean, look, I can give you a 2 hours lead time on something. If somebody doesn't know what to do or doesn't understand the message, we're still going to keep losing lives. So that connection's got to get stronger. And social science has entered the room as we speak. And it's just so there's so many conversations that we have about social science and making that real. I'm really passionate about the communication part of our job.
It's been great how your agency now has embraced what is typically been a very, to be a little esoteric, it's a little bit of a positivist approach. We have one reality. We issue a flash flood warning. We see water rise, we verify, but the reality is different for somebody that's in a vulnerable place versus somebody that's not from the same event. And that's something that's not physical science.
No, that's right. So there's advancements in getting that forecast correct, but there's other things about, look, this equity. Is everyone getting the message the same? I mean, people have different means. We have conversations about evacuate. Well, that's good, but there's some people that can't go. There's some people that don't have a car. There's some people that don't have the means to leave. We talk about heat. We talk about, well, we have air conditioning. There's a lot of people that can't afford that. So there's other part of our job and looking at the social science and the equity of things and really reaching the folks that are most vulnerable, because the data's there. And if you look at in the hurricane situation, you look at anybody over 60 years old, I mean, it's staggering. There's 8 times more likely that group to lose their life than if you're under 21. We can identify who's most vulnerable and go after it. In the preseason messages, the exercises, we give talks to each other, which is great, but let's try to reach the folks that are most vulnerable, make sure they get the information, they know what to do, they have the means. Emergency managers are having the same conversation, and I think we really need to really rethink how we do outreach and get the information to those that need it the most.
And Ken, yesterday, Greg Stump did a great presentation. We not only have Threats in Motion, Tim, we have Tiny Tim coming soon, which is, not the guy who sang the funny songs in the 70s, but real, put our hands around actual use of this system not very far away.
That's right. All this is coming. And it's like, we're going to have all these advancements and really thinking about probabilities. How are we going to communicate that? How are we really going to, you can't give the average person 10 different solutions. I mean, the social science, I'll verify this from a distance. The social science really has always shown if you get too many multiple situations, most people will actually not make a decision.
Ambiguity is paralyzing.
It is. It is. So good verification of that statement. So, but the key there is, so how do we take probabilistic information, really interested, probabilistic information, and how do you turn that into something that's actionable? Do you disguise that as deterministic? Maybe, as we do in storm surge. If you really look at the storm surge solution, it's a map you can act on. That's probabilistic information that looks awfully deterministic, because you can't take a chance with a life on a little wiggle. It's a bumper sticker. Let's print them. Let's put them on our cars and run with it.
Title of the show that.
Showtime. A little wiggle. Yeah. I like it.
All right. Anything else before we let the director go here? We're so grateful you spent time with us. James Spann, Jen.
Yeah, I'll say something. I just the thing that I think of, Ken, is the word service and the heart of the National Weather Service and their heart for service and everything that they do. And I could not do, and none of us could do what we do without you all. And just the utmost gratitude that we have. I could not do radio forecasts for 70 plus cities around the country without the National Weather Service. I don't have the capability of doing all those forecasts and getting all the watches and warnings that I have to balance and to rely on you tremendously. And then all the research that we do for Tornado Talk starts with the National Weather Service. And I value those partnerships with folks like Rick and Chris Darden down in Alabama, and just being able to work that, and how they cover everything from the history, the climatology, the current, and the future, and the service that you all have. And so I just wanted to share my utmost gratitude and my excitement as well. I echo what James said, the excitement of where we're going to go with you at the helm. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. I just want to do that. Thank you from the heart. I mean, I can't describe the passion across this agency for serving folks like you. I mean, everywhere you go, people have wanted to do this since they were 6 or 7 years old, and they're so passionate about this. So I have to find a way to really, as we go forward, involve everybody. And that's the number one question that I've received since getting this job is really interesting. And it's unanimous. It's happened dozens of times today. It happens in my inbox every single day. It's like, Ken, how can we help you? And that's just a testimony to the incredible passion of this agency. And so we're going to go somewhere together.
Well, Rick Smith, thank you for making this happen tonight.
Oh, Ken made it happen. It was his idea, and I'm glad you're here. And Ken and I go way back. Yeah. We worked together in Fort Worth at regional headquarters, and we'll have to do another show sometime and share some
you pick
more
any
stories
night,
from there.
Any day, any time,
any weekend.
We'll do this at 6:30 in the morning. We'll
make it happen.
I'm in. I'm always ready. We'll do that. Rick and I were carpool buddies. We carpooled together every single day. We solved the problems with the Weather Service every single day. So
on that 30-minute drive from Arlington to Fort Worth. Yeah.
Rick said you were doing this broadcast. Like, I'm crashing. I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna hang out in the background and slowly creep in.
That's exactly what he said. But from a Weather Service perspective, I just got to tell people that aren't in on all the Weather Service stuff. The excitement level is like nothing I've ever seen. Ken is doing videos. He's sending out videos to the Weather Service employees of him walking down the street talking about, I forgot what you were talking about, but it was heat. Yeah, it was amazing. And just the communication is so awesome, and it really is exciting. We really are in for a good run here, and there's I've never seen so much excitement in the Weather Service. So we're so glad you're here.
It's so meaningful to hear that. It's so meaningful. This whole entire thing is so humbling, and we talked about it, but we're coming over here. I can't even do a video. The all hands videos, every video that I do, it becomes emotional. I don't even know what it is. It's like the opportunity. It's the chance to, maybe it's the support. Maybe just feeling that support. And like 5 hours after the announcement of me getting the job, we did a live all hands to everybody. I teared up at the end. Yeah. And so this is like incredibly. I talk all the time out loud. I'm always thinking, and I'm a recovering extrovert, so I think out loud. And everybody, I think, and then there's emails created about my thoughts. I'm like, whoa, I'm thinking type of thing. And so no, it's what a ride. It's amazing, and we're going to make a difference. And I'm so proud to work for the employees of the Weather Service and work for you all. And that's really how I see it.
Well, I can tell you a bunch of people I know in the field teared up at that first video too. Yeah. It's just exciting. It's just exciting, and you're as passionate about it as we are, and you've actually done the job. You've actually issued warnings. You've actually been in the trenches, and we haven't had a director like that ever, I don't think, or it's been a long, long time. So we're pumped.
Well, James Spann, I know we probably need to wrap up here pretty soon. Anything you want to say to Ken before we let him get away?
No, and I think what Ken is figuring out is the fact that he was born to do this. Mm-hmm. And when you get in that sweet spot, it's very emotional. It really is. You can't wait to go to work every day. You're energized. Everything is different. You become emotional. I totally understand. I was born to stand in front of a green wall when there are tornadoes flying. I can't wait to come to work every day. And it's the same thing with you. So you're living a dream, brother. You're living a dream, and everybody's behind you. So just know we've got your back. Okay. You have any trouble up there, you let us know. We've got your back.
Thank you, James.
All right.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you, guys. So we're going to take a break here. No, you guys need to split up there in Pittsburgh. Y'all need to go to the Hooters happy hour, whatever y'all have to do next year. So Bill Murray, thank you. And Rick and James A. Nate, great to see you. Let me see that beard one more time. Get in that shot.
Yeah, get in that shot, Nate. He wants to. James wants
yeah, I was about to say, in the left-hand side of my screen, all I could see was his beard, not him.
That's all we can see here.
I could not shave in my entire lifetime, and I wouldn't have that.
The joke is that people, they won't let us wear beards in TV because you're hiding something. I'm like, you darn right I'm hiding something. I'm hiding 2 extra chins under here.
And that's just like a week. You haven't shaved in a week, so it's impressive.
No, this was still on WeatherBrains when the pandemic hit. And my wife and I married up in every way possible. She's smarter than me.
Yep.
And she had this idea. It's like, well, you're not traveling anywhere and the kids are out of school. Why don't we go bubble up with my parents? They have some property, a 4-wheeler, a boat, access to a lake, some stuff like this. Just stuff the kids to do. So we don't go crazy. Well, the one thing is they live out in the middle of nowhere, and they have at the time it was DSL. So there was no push in video for video calls out of there. So I had basically 3 months to get through all of the patchy, scratchy sort of fill in parts of the beard. So by the time I come out of that and get back home, it was presentable. Like I couldn't have done that otherwise. So
It's impressive now.
just let it go.
Oh, it's
I thought
most
it was fun
impressive.
to Tawny Phil that called up on his channel.
Check, please. Uber, taxi.
And it's that extra income during November and December is probably really coming in handy too.
And a shout out to Dr. Susan Jasko from the University of Alabama, who's here. That's who Ken was referring
I
to.
was.
Social science is in the house.
Yep.
And it was so good to see you, Dr. Jasko.
Hey, Bill, you guys want to do pick of the week real quick before you go?
Yeah. Do pick of the week.
Go. I mean, you guys do your pick of the week, and then we'll carry on down here. So go.
I'm emailing mine right now.
Well, mine, James, I'll go ahead and take the foghorn, because I love the dulcet tones of the foghorn every week.
Yeah.
And then I think next week it's Sean Sublette. You come to NWA because you can get 6 months of guests, in just 4 or 5 days. But we've already added some fabulous guests coming up. Chrissy Hurley's going to join us on the 12th of September. That's fantastic. Talk about the terrible flood there in Waverly, Tennessee. Ryan Hall, y'all, is coming on the 19th. So get ready for that. That's going to be a fun one. And today we just invited Dr. Atlas. What is Dr. Atlas's first name? Robert. We've invited him on October 24th. He's got a new AMS book that's out there. And Greg Carbon is in ink now for December 19th. His meteorological memories will be with us. Janice wanted me to remind everyone that she didn't, she was talking about all the volunteers, but a huge shout out to the staff. Nicole Von Every, Valerie Sharp, Debbie Austin, past president, Nate Johnson. Glad to have you here tonight. Dr. Sherman Morris joined us by video today. I think she may be coming up here tomorrow.
We have
She's from Pennsylvania.
Fantastic staff with the NWA, and they do a lot of work behind the scenes that it's sort of like referees in a sporting event. The better the job they do, the less you sort of see them, and they're just in the background making things happen. And I can't say enough about them and about Janice and the board and the folks that are sort of leading the organization. We're the last couple of years, there's some years where it's touch and go, really. And
we didn't know if we were going to make it, and not in the association, but in a lot of industries.
And come out of the pandemic in a good, strong position, in terms of the books, the membership numbers, and everything, and continue to grow. And hopefully we'll, as folks, we all sort of come out of this pandemic together. We can get back into the routine of I can't tell you how many people, you talk about being emotional. I can't tell you how many people seeing other people at this meeting for the first time in 2 or 3 or 4 years, like tearing up. Like I haven't seen Gina Esco in like 3.5 years, and there were hugs. I mean, it's been a long time. So, and that sort of thing just repeating itself over and over again. The number of people just getting emotional, it's just because it's great. We're social creatures. We're meant to be together.
Absolutely.
Again, a lot of thanks to the Factor 110 folks, because this was a beautiful setup. It's worked much better than the broom closet at Broadcasters in some bar somewhere. Much better. Thanks to Jeff Piotrowski from Barron. He gave the 4th earbuds. We needed one more, but
the earbud crisis was averted.
Jeff had this box of everything you could ever imagine. And I wanted him to come on tonight and tell a story about how a 25-cent connector became $1 million sale for a Barron a little bit later. Jennifer Sorry did a beautiful job. National Western Huntsville.
Awesome.
Her passion, of course, is folks who have a hard time hearing. Of course, Alan Seals is here. He did a great job yesterday. It just goes on and on and on. So many people to talk about, and just so fun to be here. So that's my extremely too long pick of the week, James.
All right, Rick, James A, Nate, anybody else have one?
Mine on the spur of the moment is the reunion pick we took today of the WeatherBrains crew with me and Nate, and Aubrey's here. So always good to see Aubrey and James and Bill. And it took a little bit of wrangling, including texting the wrong Nate a couple of times. He got annoyed with me.
Some guy in Dallas hates it.
Really hates me right now, but we got it done. So that's my pick of the week.
I wanted to ask him if he was bailing water, but I thought that was probably not a good idea.
I said if he knows we're weather people, he may be really ticked off. So
my pick of the week, and you may want to hold Rick up when he hears this. Corpus Christi's 3 o'clock MEDAR this afternoon, 99 over 81, with a heat index of 123.
That's just wrong.
Hard pass.
Yeah,
straight up hard pass.
But there was a
All right.
breeze.
It's refreshing. It's a refreshing sea breeze.
That is the,
Right.
that is the refreshing breeze of your dog
The
standing over you,
salty
breathing on
sea
you.
breeze.
Yeah.
All right.
My
Well,
pick
on
of the
that
week-
note, to our Pittsburgh crew,
James, pick for Nate
yeah.
here real quick. He's got one.
Go.
Pick of the week.
Go.
Wednesday, kind of a big anniversary. 30 years ago Wednesday, what happened?
Andrew.
That's right. I've been writing about that all week in weather history.
Hurricane Andrew. So I'm going to do a pick of the week because I know our stations in Florida, NBC and Telemundo, are doing specials. I know all the stations in Florida are doing it. I don't want to, I'll pick on my folks but all the stations are doing. They're all going to be great because we've learned a ton. You talk about what we've learned and how far we've come as an industry in those 30 years and the things that have happened in Florida. Yeah, we learned a lot and continue to learn and go forward. But the big anniversary this week, and you think about the folks that didn't survive that event, people's lives were changed forever. We got to think about those folks and honor that as we go forward.
And some good came out of that. I mean, much
sure.
strengthened building codes.
And all that. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So to our Pittsburgh crew, y'all go have fun. Thank y'all. Great show up there. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
y'all. Enjoyed it.
All right. So I'm going to let Bill disconnect. While we're doing that, we are going to take a quick break for Tony Rice and his astronomy report. We're going to have Jen's This Week in Tornado History. We will come back with an email segment, picks of the week, and much more as WeatherBrains rolls along.
Looking beyond the atmosphere, here's Tony Rice with your astronomy outlook.
We're going back to the moon, and the first step is set to begin on Monday, August 29th, when the 2-hour launch window for the Artemis 1 mission opens at 8:33 a.m. Eastern. This is a 42-day test flight, which will bring an uncrewed Orion capsule into distant retrograde orbit around the moon. This is to test out systems and procedures ahead of the Artemis 2 mission, which will include astronauts. The SLS rocket is sitting on the launch pad right now, so keep an eye out for launch weather forecasts in the coming days from the 45th Weather Squadron at Cape Canaveral. This is Florida in August, after all. That morning, one of the go-no-go calls that will be made is from the weather officer. They're going to consider several factors. The launch will be held if temperatures fall below 41.4 degrees Fahrenheit or stay above 94.5. They'll also be watching thresholds that are adjustable based on wind and humidity. It's also a no-go if winds top 29 knots at 40 meters or 39 knots at 80. They'll not be launching through any precipitation either. Like most launches, most of the criteria focuses on lightning. No lightning-producing thunderstorms or attached anvil clouds are allowed within 10 nautical miles of the flight path. Clouds attached to a smoke plume are also a problem. These are just some of the nearly 20 launch weather criteria that will be used that morning. They're detailed in the Artemis 1 press kit. The 45th Weather Squadron will also begin publishing their forecast in the days before launch at patrick.spaceforce.mil. Elsewhere in the sky, this week and next are a good time to spot Mercury. It's at its greatest elongation or separation in the sky from the sun, making it a lot easier to see. Look low along the western horizon after sunset. That's your astronomy outlook. Follow me at RTP Hokie for more spacey stuff like this.
This week in tornado history, Hurricane Andrew hit South Florida during the early morning of August 24th, 1992. There were no tornadoes reported in Florida. Ted Fujita surveyed the damage. He denoted that 3 scales of wind systems were isolated and studied in detail. They were number 1, the overall hurricane, number 2, swath of high wind, and number 3, mini swirl and microburst. He determined that the damage-causing peak winds of number 2 and 3 were far stronger than the peak gusts experienced along the path of Andrew. Andrew pushed across the Florida Peninsula and made a secondary landfall on August 26, 1992, west-southwest of Morgan City, Louisiana. Ahead of this landfall on the 25th, tornadoes were spawned across parts of Louisiana and Mississippi, and the first tornado was also the only killer tornado produced by Andrew. This F3 moved in a westerly direction from 2 miles east of Laplace to 4 miles northwest of Reserve. There were 2 fatalities, a 63-year-old man and a 2-year-old girl. She died a few days later of head injuries. Both lived in the community of Reserve. A total of 66 homes and 33 mobile homes were destroyed. Over 180 more had minor to moderate damage. The River Parishes Hospital had roof damage and had to be evacuated. Read about this event and over 500 more at tornadotalk.com.
Okay, time to dig into the old email inbox and see if just maybe something's in there this week.
Letters. We get letters. We get stacks and stacks of letters.
All righty. So we have an email that came in from Andrew Fairchild, and it was actually a video from Facebook that I want James to talk about a little bit here. It was in regards to just an awesome story about Pam Huff, who works at ABC 3340. And you, James, and a group went out to help her buy wigs because she has a cancer diagnosis. She has breast cancer, and she was going to have to go buy wigs. And it was a really neat story. So you want to talk about it? Like, you look fabulous, by the way.
Well, you know, it's hard. I mean, I've worked with Pam in this case. We've worked together since 1979. That's how long we've been together. And when you find out a longtime friend like that is going to have to go through something like that, the least you can do is be supportive. And it's hard to be supportive, quite frankly, in a situation like that. But that's something you can do. It's tangible. So a lot of us decided to go down to the wig shop and shop for wigs and try some on. And laughter is great medicine. I know that laughter is not appropriate in every situation like that, but sometimes it is. And so we just decided to have a great time, and I will cherish that forever. And Pam's a very strong woman, and if anybody can beat cancer, she's the one.
Absolutely. It was a neat piece. We'll throw it into our maybe somebody's pick, or I'll throw it in as a secondary pick so folks can go watch it. But you can see the joy that she had that she was able to do this with you all. The other email I want to talk about here came in from Kimberly Hale, and I'm going to put James on the spot to give us a forecast, because she wrote and said, my husband and I planned our 27th anniversary trip to the beach, and this Thursday through Tuesday at Gulf Shores. And we've had some challenges, to say the least, over the past 2 seasons with hurricanes and bad weather. And she was very grateful that she's purchased traveler's insurance, but she wanted to kind of get a little insight from the brainies here of whether or not she's going to need to use that insurance or not.
No, I like that. This is what I do. And one of the problems we have, Jen, is that when people plan a trip like that, what's the first thing they do? They go to their phone. And with most phone weather apps, you're going to get a little cartoon picture of a weather event, and then you're going to get 3 numbers, a high, low, and a probability of precipitation. And that doesn't describe in the summer what's going to happen. The bottom line is that there's no tropical trouble for them. It looks routine with the classic mix of sun, scattered storms. And we don't know in advance when and where the storms are going to happen. That's part of what we talked about before, these air mass storms, but they're almost a daily occurrence. If you looked at a phone app, you would think that every day on the beach is going to be a washout and nobody would ever go to the Gulf Coast. But the apps can be problematic this time of the year, but I green light it. Go have a good time.
All right. You heard it here first, Kimberly. Enjoy. Have a happy anniversary, you and your hubby. Thank you to everybody who writes us an email and asks us questions and gives us some feedback. And we love getting it. We thank you so much. Email at weatherbrains.com. And also get on our website, sign up for our newsletter, because you can get that in your email box every Thursday morning. Some great articles, history, and et cetera, some astronomy from your brainy friends. And so back to you, James, as we wrap up the show.
Yeah, and I know we got to go, but I will tell you, Jen, your segment this week did a PTSD thing with me on that Laplace tornado. Mm-hmm. So I was there, and the damage was bad. It was an EF3 or an F3. It was a bad tornado, and we were over in New Orleans, and this, of course, was the second landfall of Andrew after making landfall in Florida, and I made the decision to try and get our satellite truck. This is back in the days we had to raise a big dish on top of a big truck to get your signal out. And I firmly believed I could get that truck in the eye of Hurricane Andrew and get a live shot out for the morning show between 6 and 7 a.m. Central Time. And that was probably one of the stupidest decisions I've ever made, because the back edge of the eye wall came in on us about the time we had that second hit. And I'm thinking, if we get out of this alive without any equipment damage, it'll be a miracle. And we somehow did. But anyway, that was a horrible situation. So let's do picks of the week, and we got to go. Neil, let's go straight to you. What's your pick? Go.
My pick of the week is short write-ups from Jackie Sepulveda and Ashley Stigneri. They are 2 William N. LaPenta interns, and they were both working on Epic and UFS. And they did a write-up. It's on the Epic website, NOAA.gov. and it's just about their experience in their internship. And for those folks out there interested in this, it's an awesome opportunity. Summer and internship, University of Maryland, you get to stay in their dorms, and applications, the window to submit opens up October 1st.
And those are the opportunities that can make a career. That's incredible. So a great pick. And again, we'll have this up on weatherbrains.com. Jen, what you got? Go.
So my pick of the week actually comes from an email from one of our listeners, Aiden Kenzer. Aiden, thank you for this. It's the Naples, Utah tornado, and it's a National Weather Service article. This tornado was back in September of 1999, and it was an F1, a very rare tornadic thunderstorm in Northeast Utah. So it was a good read, and so I will share that as my pick of the week.
Awesome. And mine was the Lightning Cast product, which involves the multiple channels from GOES to look at the probability of lightning within the next 60 minutes. Fascinating product. But we got to go. We're a little long here tonight, but I thought it was a great show. Thanks to Bill Murray and all of his folks in Pittsburgh on the remote from NWA, and Neil and Jen, thank you. And thanks to all of you for listening and watching. We're typically here Monday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. We know that most of you listen. Some of you watch. You can watch it on the WeatherBrains YouTube channel. And our email address here, it's email@weatherbrains.com. We'd love to hear from you. So on behalf of the entire WeatherBrains crew, I'm James Spann. Thanks for listening. Have a great week, and God bless. Neil, Jen, thank you all. That was a fun show tonight.
Yeah, it was
great.
awesome. Have a great week.
Great.